Chapter 3679 3000 Worlds? Long Chen, Xia Chen, and Guoran all had no idea what this place was. Xia Guhong explained, the 3000 worlds are worlds floating on a current, moving throughout the 9 heavens. The surface is almost parallel to the violet flame heaven. Also, the 3000 worlds are existences from the primal chaos era. Due to their constant movement, the tribulation from the desolate era did not reach them. In them, the laws of the 3000 worlds were not destroyed, and it also preserved the primal chaos energy which is extremely sparse in the violet flame heaven now. This primal chaos energy is what you need the most urgently right now. Almost anyone who advances to the immortal king realm within the 3000 worlds will condense a heavenly Dao crown. Furthermore, the heavenly Dao crowns are split between bronze, silver, gold, dark gold, and violet gold. If you want to resist the suppression of faith energy, you will need at least a dark gold heavenly Dao crown. Big brother, you also know about what happened on the 9 Underworld Island? Asked Long Chen, feeling shocked. I don't know. But based on the injury to your eye, I can guess what you did. To be able to break a faith net in the Divine Lord realm, perhaps you are the only person capable of it. It's nothing surprising, said Xia Guhong with a smile. Theft is never good, try looking at. Calm. The Wine God Palace appeared to be isolated from the rest of the world, but it also seemed as if they were aware of every single thing that occurred in the outside world. Everyone can condense a heavenly Dao crown? Then won't everyone be competing in the 3000 worlds? Asked Guoran. That is correct, and it's not only limited to the violet flame heavens people either. Many heavenly geniuses will come across heavens. They won't give up this chance. When the time comes, 10,000 races will descend upon the violet flame heaven. There will be countless heavenly geniuses. Demons, devils, ghosts, and monsters will all appear. Some particular fellows that have been sealed for countless years will also come out. When that happens, the very heavens of the violet flame heaven will change. The Dao protectors of those monsters will also come with them. The reason I summoned you wasn't because I'm worried about you encountering those monsters. It's because I'm worried that once your temper explodes and you kill those monsters, you will make those Dao protectors interfere. Those fellows will come from powerful races and have no misgivings. Some are also natural enemies of the human race. I don't want you to end up being at a disadvantage, said Xia Guhong. Upon hearing this, Long Chen's heart warmed. This feeling of having a big brother looking after him was truly a blessing. Big brother, are you saying that great chaos is about to descend upon the violet flame heaven? Asked Long Chen. Yes. Some old monsters have started to silently infiltrate the violet flame heaven. That means that they have also read the lines of fate and foreseen the general time of the gates opening. More and more experts will come from all kinds of races and powers. When that moment comes, heavenly geniuses will be as common as dogs. A battle will be difficult to avoid. If there's a battle, there will be casualties, and if there are casualties, there will be enmity. And enmities are repaid with blood. The violet flame heaven will be like a giant ball of gunpowder. The slightest spark will cause everything to explode. In order to protect their own heavenly geniuses, their protectors will all be old monsters. With your current power, you will only be able to flee in front of them. You might not even have a chance to get away. You cannot be careless, warned Xia Guhong. Long Chen nodded obediently. I won't be careless. This time, us 3 brothers were beaten badly by Liao Bensong. We don't dare to mess around again. Hearing that, Xia Guhong laughed. Your guts are already big enough. You actually dared to run to the 9 Underworld Island. That is where the 9 Underworld Hall's faith energy is strongest other than the heaven-gathering mountain. Liao Bensong had the support of that much faith energy, and most divine venerates would have to flee from him. Hence, for you to live proves your power. If news of that spread, it will definitely shake the violet flame heaven. Guoran and Xia Chen felt much better after hearing that. If even most divine venerates weren't a match for Liao Bensong in that state, their wretched defeat wasn't embarrassing. Big brother, do you know of the star-peering heavenly mirror? Asked Long Chen. I do. Long Chen was startled. For Xia Guhong to make such a curt response, it seemed that the star-peering heavenly mirror involved a lot of taboo topics. He didn't dare to randomly discuss it. Then after it is broken, can it be repaired? Or can he build a new star-peering heavenly mirror? Asked Long Chen. Long Chen didn't even mention fallen Day Knight's name. He was rather subtle. Repairing it is impossible. As for rebuilding a new one, it is impossible without 10,000 years of effort, said Xia Guhong. He good. Long Chen was relieved. 10,000 years? They might as well not even try rebuilding it. This way, all the 9-star heirs throughout the 9 heavens and 10 lands could grow freely. Thinking of how they would no longer be prey to be slaughtered, Long Chen felt like everything was worth it. It could be said that his trip to the 9 underworld island had been more than just dangerous. Thinking about it carefully, he had been very lucky. He didn't know if he had benefited from Xia Chen and Guoran's luck, but things had gone surprisingly smoothly. Furthermore, they even managed to flee thanks to the two of them. Without them, even if Long Chen had managed to destroy the star-peering heavenly mirror, he wouldn't have been able to escape alive. All this time, he had always been fighting alone. Now that he had found his brothers again, he felt that there was nothing that they couldn't do together. It truly was good to have his brothers back. Long Chen wanted to ask more about the 3,000 worlds, but Xia Guhong didn't reveal much. He only said that Long Chen would naturally understand once he entered. He knew that Xia Guhong refused to speak for his own benefit. Any major secrets relating to the heavenly Daos could not be randomly discussed. Accumulating that much karma was not good. In the next few days, Long Chen accompanied Xia Chen and Guoran. Other than cultivation, they went to pay their respects to the Wine God Palace's experts. They drank all kinds of wine. When Guoran and Xia Chen saw that winged devil expert, they jumped just like Long Chen had back then. Long Chen wanted to pay his respects to the high priest this time, but he found that the high priest had left on a wandering trip, so he only stayed within the Wine God Palace. Half a month passed quickly. Long Chen's cultivation base reached the 11th heaven stage. As for his aura, it didn't change, but the Violet Tower star had gone through a shocking upgrade. It actually reached the 5th star transformation. The speed stunned even Long Chen. However, that also proved that the Violet Tower star's 9-star transformations were related to his cultivation base. His 7-color divine ring was now completely stable. Although the violet divine ring was clearly a bit dimmer, Long Chen could sense that he would still be able to fight even in Liao Bensang's faith domain. It would no longer be directly crushed. Boss, someone has come to challenge the Wine God Palace. Long Chen was in the middle of cultivating when Guoran ran over excitedly. Chapter 3680 Challenge? Don't joke around. Who would challenge the Wine God Palace? Long Chen refused to believe it. It's true. They've blocked the gate of the Wine God Palace and set up a martial stage. Let's go. We've been watching the fun for a while before rushing over to get you, urged Guoran. Long Chen was very curious. When he was dragged over to the gate, he saw quite a few people around. The majority of them were peak Divine Lord disciples, and every single one of them was an expert with a powerful aura. There were also a few elders. They were late-stage world kings and half-step divine venerates. Despite that, they gave Long Chen an immense sense of pressure. They were also terrifying existences. Thousands of outsiders had come as well. They were just watching from a distance, clearly showing that they were only here to watch and not to offend the Wine God Palace. Over 10 young men and women were standing before the gate to the Wine God Palace. Their auras were all extraordinary. Both the men and women were beautiful, but their arrogant airs were not attractive. Junior has crossed a great distance to pay respect to the Wine God Palace's seniors, but the Wine God Palace's seniors shut the door and refused to see me. Are you looking down on my T-Divine school? Their leader was a man who already seemed impatient. His voice was cold and wasn't loud, but it was backed by his spiritual yuan, making it spread far and wide. It wasn't ear-piercing, but every word entered people's ears clearly. Although it was an intentional show of might, it showed that this person's spiritual yuan was very pure. It was exceptional. Furthermore, his spiritual strength was also powerful, or he wouldn't be able to control the sound so perfectly. If young heroes traversed a great distance to come, our Wine God Palace would receive them politely. But everyone knows that the Wine God Palace's heart only contains the Wine Dao. If these young heroes came to discuss the Wine Dao, I trust that the seniors will naturally warmly greet you. But you came to compare the Tea Dao to the Wine Dao. That doesn't seem very appropriate, does it? There were a few apprentices in charge of receiving people in front of the gate. Their expressions were a bit ugly. These apprentices could only count as workers. But in the Wine God Palace, there was no differentiation in seniority or power. Whether it was Long Chen or the experts in the Wine God Palace, they treated these apprentices very courteously, treating them the same way as they treated themselves. All major Daos are different paths to the same end. Tea Dao, Wine Dao, what's the difference? At the highest realm, they are all the same. What? Does your Wine God Palace value your own Dao as the most precious? Aren't you simply shutting yourself off from the rest of the world? Ask that man. In the beginning, his words could count as polite. But the longer he went on, the sharper his words became. In the end, he was clearly mocking them. The Wine God Palace's apprentices were displeased. The Wine God Palace was a holy land, and every senior inside was worthy of respect. However, this person was trying to make things hard on them. They weren't angry, but this criticism of the Wine God Palace irritated them. These apprentices all had great self-restraint. One indifferently replied, "Perhaps your words are correct. I will transmit them to the seniors in the Wine God Palace." Theft is never good, try looking at. Come. Clearly he was telling them to scram. It was simply that he was very polite and not so direct. Senior apprentice brother Qinyu, let's leave. They don't dare to discuss the Tao with us. Wine God Palace? What a fake name. They're just a bunch of drunkards. How are they qualified to discuss the Tao with our Tea Divine School? Said a woman amongst those disciples. Her sinister words immediately caused the expressions of those apprentices to change. You are going too far. When did discussing the Tao become insulting others? Even Long Chen, Guoran, and Xia Chen were enraged by this provocation. These people really were courting death. They didn't have the slightest respect in their hearts. However, they had come to discuss the Tao, not to compete in martial might. Hence, Xia Chen and Guoran didn't step forward. If it was a martial competition, the two of them would have long since beaten them up until they cried for their parents. What do you mean by insulting others? We are only telling the truth. You don't even dare to discuss the Tao. Are you afraid of exposing your own empty title? Sneered the woman disdainfully. You. Those apprentices finally lost their patience. Long Chen went out at this moment, patting those apprentices' shoulders. What is the Tea Divine School? How come I've never heard of them? Hearing this, those disciples of the Tea Divine School were enraged. The woman shouted, "Brat, who are you? Shut your mouth. Trash like you isn't fit to ask my boss's name. Who do you think you are? How about I kill you all with a single slap?" Guoran finally had a chance to interject. That woman seemed to be frightened by Guoran's ominous gaze. It went without saying that after obtaining a supreme bone and after experiencing that immense battle, Guoran already had a certain sharpness in his eyes. His gaze was quite a bit stronger than before. Mr. Longqin, their Tea Divine School is also part of our Violet Flame Heaven. It was founded 367,400 years ago, explained one of the apprentices. Only 360,000 years of history? Tisich, no wonder they raised such arrogant disciples. It seems that they want to make a name for themselves. All right, leave this to me. I'll teach them how to behave, said Long Chen disdainfully. A sect with only 360,000 years of history might be considered an amazing existence in the mortal world. However, in the immortal world, that didn't count for anything. That might not even be 3 generations of inheritance. Their founder was probably still alive and healthy. Such a sect might look to be flourishing, but it was lacking in foundation. It was just like a stalk of bamboo that looked to soar rapidly, only to be empty inside. A new power like this actually dared to challenge the Wine God Palace, whose inheritance stretched back tens of millions of years? It was clearly an attempt to make a name for themselves. Long Chen had seen many people like this. They relied on challenging others to increase their own fame. It was disgusting. Even if they lost the battle, they would brag that they once discussed the Tao with the Wine God Palace. Even though they lost, it still benefited them. On the other hand, if the Wine God Palace rejected their challenge, they would say that the Wine God Palace didn't dare to discuss the Tao with them. Such people were extremely hateful. The Wine God Palace's experts couldn't be bothered to pay them any attention, but Long Chen wasn't the same. If these people were going to be so hateful, he wouldn't let them do as they please. I am the Wine God Palace's guest. My understanding of the Wine Tao isn't very deep, but it should be enough to discuss the Tao with you. Since you came to discuss the Tao, you should also be clear on the truth. Let's skip the pleasantries and just start, said Long Chen lightly. All right, then today, let us see whose Tao discussion is superior. That man called Senior Apprentice Brother Qin Yu smiled. A sinister light appeared in his eyes. Seeing that gaze, a disdainful smile appeared on Long Chen's face. If he didn't properly teach these little fellows a lesson, they wouldn't know just how dangerous this world was. Chapter 3681. Senior Apprentice Brother Tian Yu's calculations are truly accurate. Long Chen really did come out to face the challenge. A female disciple of the Wine God Palace smiled at the winged devil expert. Hundreds of experts from the Wine God Palace were gathered. The table was covered in delicacies and wines. Other than some experts that were traveling throughout the world, everyone within the Wine God Palace had already gathered. The winged devil expert smiled. Long Chen isn't a person with patience. I refuse to believe that he could endure this. Furthermore, that Guoran is the master of wishing for more chaos. He would definitely drag Long Chen out for this fight. Senior apprentice brothers and sisters, junior apprentice brothers and sisters, a good show is about to start. Let me offer the first toast to everyone. Everyone laughed and raised their cups. Xia Guhong laughed. I wonder if Long Chen knows that we're watching behind the scenes. Will he turn hostile on us? He won't go so far as to turn hostile, but we'll probably have to pay for our sins with wine. Just then, a voice rang out. High Priest! Everyone jumped. Seeing the white-robed and white-haired High Priest, Xia Guhong and the others hastily rose and bowed. High Priest, weren't you wandering the world? The winged devil expert couldn't help asking. When Long Chen asked about seeing the High Priest wasn't present. It was a lie for Long Chen. It's still not time for us to meet. Everyone sit. We'll watch the show together. This opportunity really is rare. The High Priest laughed. Since the High Priest had said this, everyone laughed and turned their attention to the gate. The people at the gate couldn't see them here, but the High Priest and the others could see everything. When Long Chen agreed to discuss the Tao with Qin Yu revealed a wild joy. Even though he did his best to cover it up, everyone with sharp eyes saw it clearly. The disciples of the Tea Divine School had set up a large platform. It was like a martial stage with all kinds of gold and embroideries to make it appear extremely luxurious. However, in Long Chen's eyes, it was simply a facade to cover up their shortcomings. Long Chen knew that as they set up this grand stage, their disciples activated photographic jades to record everything. In the future, they would rely on these photographic jades to tear down the name of the Wine God Palace and raise their own fame. The Tao discussion stage was quickly set up. It was simply a formality to make it look official so that others couldn't say that their photographic jades were fake. Long Chen and Qin Yu sat on the Tao discussion stage, and a ceramic tea table was placed before them. Long Chen didn't say anything and just watched them perform. Then let the Tao discussion begin. Seeing that all the arrangements were complete, Qin Yu smiled with a very pleased laugh. His tone became much more courteous. Up to you, said Long Chen indifferently. Today we are discussing the Tea Tao and the Wine Tao. I don't understand much of the Wine Tao, but if you don't understand the Wine Tao, why are you discussing the Tao with me? Are you trying to waste my time? Long Chen didn't stand on courtesy. He directly turned and walked away. Haha. Inside the Wine God Palace, laughter came from the various experts. Long Chen's response was perfect. Qin Yu was enraged but hastily said, I was just being modest by saying that I don't understand the Wine Tao much. Long Chen was in the midst of pretending to leave when he heard that and sat down once more. He then indifferently said, if you do understand it, Why don't you tell me what the wine Dao is? Qin Yu stumbled, trying to think of a good response. He even began to sweat. Long Chen had completely broken his rhythm. However, he quickly calmed down and said, the wine Dao is just like the tea Dao in that they are drinking Daos. Through taste, you can experience the 100 flavors of the world and comprehend the world's 10,000 Daos. Long Chen was startled. The flustered Qin Yu had actually come up with such a fine answer in such a short time. That didn't quite make sense, did it? Long Chen's gaze then swept toward the distance, and a cold smile suddenly appeared on his face. He had grasped a very subtle spiritual fluctuation. It seemed that someone was giving this Qin Yu pointers. It was no wonder that this fool could say such a thing. Long Chen now understood why these little ants dared to come here so arrogantly. They were backed by someone. Long Chen had figured out what this tea divine school had come here for. They were intending on participating in the 3,000 worlds and were planning on using the Wine God Palace to make a name for themselves in preparation. Fuck, I've seen shameless people but not someone this shameless. If you're going to be so shameless, don't blame me for slapping you, sneered Long Chen inside. Qin Yu's confidence instantly inflated after answering Long Chen's question, and he returned to his arrogant self. The tea Dao and the wine Dao have similarities, but I believe that there is a higher and lower differentiation to be made between the two. What do you think about that? You are called Qin Yu, correct? Qing as in young and Yu as in feather? Long Chen answered with another question. Yes. Is there a problem? Asked Qin Yu. No wonder you're so immature. At this young age your feathers haven't even grown out, but you dare to be so immature. For you to be able to live to this point, it means that your ancestors chose good locations for their graves, said Long Chen solemnly. You! Qin Yu was enraged. Long Chen flapped his hand at him. Don't get mad. I'm not cursing you. I'm just telling the truth. Your luck really is good. Qin Yu's expression sank. Stop changing the subject. We are discussing the Tao. Answer my last question. Your last question? Oh, you said that between the tea Dao and the wine Dao, there is one that is higher and one that is lower? So you must mean that the tea Dao is greater, right? Said Long Chen. Correct. The tea Dao is taking tea from trees and plants, using the simplest method, perhaps frying, heating, drying. You then infuse it with the natural spring water of heaven and earth, and it is complete. The so-called Grand Dao is the pinnacle of simplicity. The simpler something is, the closer it is to the original flavor of the heavenly Daos. As for the wine Dao, all kinds of complicated procedures are involved. The fermentation, simmering, storage, and other processes have long since broken the original principles of natural simplicity. The tea Dao is a natural Dao, while the wine Dao is an artificial Dao that you created with your own efforts. How can something artificial be as beautiful as a natural Dao? That is what determines which is higher and which is lower, said Qin Yu proudly. Well said, senior apprentice brother Qin Yu. Senior apprentice brother Qin Yu truly is worthy of being a genius of the tea Dao. This comprehension is admirable. No wonder Master says that Qin Yu's comprehension of the tea Dao is unprecedented. We are bearing witness to this fact. Before anyone else could say anything, the disciples of the tea divine school that had come with Qin Yu heaped praises on him. We are calm, find us on Google. Guoran, Xiachen, and even Long Chen looked at them, feeling dumbfounded. Seeing Qin Yu's natural and easy expression, it seemed that he wasn't the slightest bit embarrassed by all of this praise. His face didn't redden in the slightest. My eyes have been opened to the world. Guoran and Xiachen were both amazed and said the same thing at the same time. Guoran thought that his face was already very thick, but compared to Qin Yu, his face was practically as thin as paper. You are saying that what is natural is definitely better than something artificial? Asked Long Chen with a smile. But of course, said Qin Yu without hesitation. Well then, people are born naked. Shouldn't you maintain your natural state? What are you wearing clothes for? If all of you dare to take off your clothes in front of everyone, I will admit that you are correct, said Long Chen, chortling. Xia Chen and Guoran's gazes instantly fell upon those beautiful female disciples that had come from the tea divine school. Their eyes were full of anticipation. Chapter 3682. The Tea Divine School's women instantly felt a chill run up their spines seeing Guoran and Xiachen stares. It felt as if their gazes were seeing through their clothes. Let alone the women, even the men had goosebumps rise all over their bodies. They all felt unnatural. Qin Yu hastily said, You're twisting my words. No matter how thick his face was, there was no way he could strip naked in front of everyone. If that happened, their Tea Divine School would become a giant laughingstock. How am I twisting your words? Didn't you say natural is better than artificial? If the Grand Tao is the pinnacle of simplicity, the simpler the better. Tea is the Tao, wine is the Tao, and people are the Tao. Something as natural as your body, why must you cover it up? Why adorn yourself in artificial clothes? That's so troublesome. Why not make it simpler? If you feel that the Grand Tao is the pinnacle of simplicity, if you think that your principles are correct, if you think that the Tea Tao is greater than the Wine Tao, strip right now. My Wine God Palace will immediately accept our defeat, said Long Chen indifferently. What kind of joke was this? What kind of person was Long Chen? He was someone who had won the Tao discussion of the 9 Prefecture Convention. Qin Yu wanted to discuss the Tao with him? He wasn't even qualified to carry his shoes. One opening in his words and Long Chen could play him to death. Exactly. Since you say that you want to be simple, why are you going to so much trouble? You're clearly slapping yourself in the face. Xiachen couldn't help interjecting. Strip. Why are you hesitating? If you strip, you win. Then your names will resound throughout the 4 seas. You aren't even willing to make such a small sacrifice for your sect? Don't you think that this hesitation of yours is failing to live up to your ancestors' expectations? Guoran also fanned the flames. Senior apprentice brother Qin Yu. Those women clenched their teeth and looked at Qin Yu. That appearance was like they were dealing with a difficult decision. But if Qin Yu really did order them to strip, it seemed that they really would listen. You're just spouting nonsense, insulting my Tea Divine School. Or you. How could the Wine God Palace produce someone as shameless as you? Demanded Qin Yu suddenly. Insulting the Tea Divine School? Weren't you the one who was so insulting that you said all the seniors of the Wine God Palace are just drunkards? Does that not count as insulting? You were the ones who came here so brazenly to take advantage of the Wine God Palace. Furthermore, you were the one who said the Grand Tao is the pinnacle of simplicity, but you refused to give evidence. It's not me insulting you but simply you insulting yourself, said Long Chen disdainfully. Who are you? Qin Yu demanded once more. I'm surnamed Long and my given name is Chen, said Long Chen with a slight smile. Long Chen? You're the one that the Soaring Dragon Company put out an arrest warrant for? Qin Yu was startled. The experts in the distance were also startled to hear Long Chen's name. They had also heard of him. Idiot, my boss is Dash. It doesn't matter who I am. I am on the side of the Wine God Palace. If you want to discuss the Tao, then let's discuss the Tao. If you don't want to discuss the Tao, then we can use our fists instead. Boss Long San is capable of both. I'll face your challenge whenever you want, said Long Chen indifferently. He cut off Guoran, not letting Guoran say that he was from the High Firmament Academy. Long Chen then looked at Qin Yu and clearly saw the panic in his eyes. They hadn't even started, but things were already over. It seemed that discussing the Tao with him was like bullying a child. Furthermore, the spiritual fluctuations coming from the distance were coming more frequently. Clearly whoever was behind him was teaching him what to say. In a bit, Qin Yu took a deep breath and recovered a bit of calmness. My little self was unable to express myself clearly. However, I still believe that my principles are correct. I have always thought that the Tea Tao is more profound than the Wine Tao. Oh, I'd like to hear the details, said Long Chen. Search. Calm. For the original. Qin Yu beckoned and a woman immediately walked over. She then knelt down beside the tea table and took out a set of tea. She got to work. Qin Yu lightly said, I believe that the Grand Tao is the pinnacle of simplicity. The simpler something is, the more it expresses the flavor of the Grand Tao. As for tea, it is simple and easy to understand. The tea leaves either float or sink, while the person who drinks the tea only has to do 2 things, pick it up and put it down. Life is like tea. You must be able to pick things up and put things down. Don't you think that I am correct? As Qin Yu spoke, that woman finished up with the tea. She then passed a cup to Long Chen. Long Chen smiled. Well said. He picked up the tea and sipped it. But then he shook his head. The tea is good tea, the water is good water, and the pot is a good pot. Regretfully, the flavor is lacking a bit. It's flowery without any substance. Its fragrance assaults the nose but doesn't cleanse the heart. It cannot reach the Tao. Qin Yu snorted in response to Long Chen's appraisal. Your own words are a typical case of picking something up but not being able to put it down. You can only accept praise but not criticism. You are even further from the Tao. Haha, how reasonable. Come a bit closer. I have some words for you. Long Chen laughed and beckoned to Qin Yu. Qin Yu was startled. Long Chen's posture was like he had something secret to tell him, so he couldn't help extending his head over. Long Chen reached out his hand. Neither quickly nor slowly, in front of everyone's shocked gaze, he slapped Qin Yu's face. Qin Yu was sent flying, tumbling back into the distance. When he stood up again, half his face was swollen badly. Long Chen's handprint was very clearly imprinted on it. What are you doing? The Tea Divine School's disciples were enraged. They all took out their weapons, glaring at Long Chen with killing intent. Qin Yu was the most enraged out of them, and he pointed his sword at Long Chen. Long Chen, come out. Today, I want a battle to the death with you. Long Chen waved his hand. Don't mess around. Such a tiny thing is making your face go from red to white. You're making others laugh at you. Come, drink some tea. Long Chen acted like he hadn't done anything. He actually waved Qin Yu over to drink tea. He even raised his teacup for him. A tiny thing. Bullshit. Today, only one of us will live to see tomorrow's sun. Qin Yu howled. The space behind him rumbled, and he actually summoned his manifestation. His aura was truly shocking. Long Chen still acted like he couldn't see Qin Yu's anger. He indifferently said, when drinking tea, there are only two positions. Picking it up and putting it down. Life is like tea. You have to be able to pick things up and put things down. Don't you think that I am correct? Long Chen raised his teacup and took a light sip. That natural appearance of his was as if everything that had just happened had nothing to do with him. Seeing this, Qin Yu felt like he might explode from rage. These words were the ones that he had just said. But when they came back out of Long Chen's mouth, they were the greatest mockery. When everyone heard Long Chen say this, the Wine God Palace's people all clapped and laughed. This response was truly wonderful. Fuck your grandpa. Have a taste of my sword. Qin Yu suddenly stamped down, stabbing his sword at Long Chen. At this moment, space quivered. He instantly used his strongest attack, while Long Chen didn't even look at this attack. Just as the sword was about to reach Long Chen, a hand appeared and caught it between two fingers. That thunderous sword was caught just like that. What? Seeing this, all the experts present couldn't help sucking in a cold gasp of air. Chapter 3683. The old man in white robe showed up. He was a man with strong reverence for half a step. His white hair was white and he was holding ups and downs. His steps were elegant. He had a kind of immortal charm. I have to say that it's really bluffing just like this one. However, the old man, like his apprentice, has a high chin and an invincible appearance, which makes people feel uncomfortable. What? If you don't direct behind the scenes, you are willing to come out at last? Long Chen looked at the old man, light tunnel. I have been instructed by the tea sage himself, and I have got the true story of the sage. How can you talk nonsense here? The ancestor of Tea God Road was angry. Tea God ancestor's words, so that everyone was surprised. A face can't believe looking at him, even Dragon Dust also scared. You should know that Lu Yu, the tea sage, has a book of tea, which records 368,000 kinds of famous teas, as well as the functions of each kind of tea, as well as the introduction of picking, frying, brewing, and quoting. There are more than 360,000 kinds of famous tea recorded in the Book of Tea. However, there are less than 60,000 famous teas that people can find today, and more than 300,000 kinds of tea have already disappeared. Even some famous tea, is the precious medicine of the chaotic age. These species have long disappeared in the long river. The species in the chaotic age who can record it must be the characters of the ancient times, and also those who existed before the Great War. The characters who existed before the Great War in ancient times, but there was no record of him in later generations. Only the 3 scriptures that he personally cast were handed down. However, because the times are too long, many of the scriptures are rubbings. Because there are too many people who have made rubbings, the stone tablets have been damaged in many places due to the erosion of years. Finally, the T scriptures handed down to the present day are incomplete. Long Chen has read the T scriptures in Lingshao Academy. The scriptures are profound and obscure, and in many places, they are really incoherent. Long Chen only remembers some scriptures that he thinks are reasonable. Long Chen also specially checked the information about Lu Yu, the tea saint. Most of the historical records do not recognize this man. He thinks that this man was invented. The so-called tea scripture is also a collection of wisdom of the ancients and written by the experts of hundreds of families. In the scriptures, many things mentioned are too mysterious and strange to be believed. The incomprehensible parts are also confusing. Therefore, most people think that Lu Yu, the tea saint, is a non-existent person. Even Long Chen couldn't believe his ears when he said that he had to be instructed by the tea saint himself. However, looking at the proud face of the tea god, it seems that he did not lie, which is the most shocking place for Long Chen. Have you really met Lu Yu, the tea saint? Dragon Dust Road. Looking at the shocked appearance of Long Chen and others, the ancestor of the tea Shinto said, "Of course, I swear by my soul that if I lie, I will die." The ancestor of tea Shinto swore that everyone was shocked again. No one dared to swear by his ancestral clan. The cause and effect was very frightening. This proves that the ancestor of tea Shinto really met Lu Yu, the tea saint. Everyone in Dionysian Palace looked at each other, and they could not believe it, but they had to believe it. Is there really a tea saint? A disciple of wine magic could not help saying, "There's a man, and I've met him once." And the high priest opened his mouth. The crowd was startled again. Not only was there a man, but the high priest had seen him. It was amazing. What kind of person is the tea saint? How can he enlighten such a person? A disciple of wine magic could not help saying, "Lu Yu, the tea saint, is a man of great wisdom. I'm afraid things are not so simple." The high priest looked at the door of the wine magic skill, and his face was proud. However, the tea god ancestor, who was just like a villain, could not help shaking his head. Outside the Dionysian palace, there was silence, and the tea god ancestor and his disciples were all swaggering and arrogant. Long Chen, what else can you say? Let your eloquence make you turn black and white, but our ancestor is a disciple of tea saint. Can you comment on this identity alone? Qing Yu is arrogant. Cut your hair in a good way. Don't let the wind disturb your hairstyle. Just stay by the side. Guoran skimmed his mouth and disdained the tunnel. You. Qing Yu is very angry, and there is a female disciple beside him. She hastens to comb his hair and put on his golden crown again, so as to cover up his embarrassment. Long Chen said faintly, "Don't tell me if I'm a nobody. If I don't even have the qualification to comment, do you have no fart to pick your throat? What are you talking about with lousy? I ask you, do you know the whole volume of tea classics?" The ancestor of tea god looks at the Dragon Dust Road. "Yes, and I have read all of them. However, I have limited qualifications and can't understand clearly in many places. Since you are a disciple of the tea sage, I would like to ask you something about it in the second part of the classic of tea. Camellia is not a flower, tea is not a leaf, and each flower and leaf performs its own way, such as division, cathode, yang level, harmony of yin and yang, and double generation and multiplication." What do you mean? What kind of tea in ancient times? Long Chen looks at the tea god. At that time, the sage recited the scriptures to me. I was still young and had a rough heart and didn't remember many of them. What do you mean by flower power? The old ancestor of the tea god thought hard. He seemed to be remembering something, but he couldn't think of it. He looked annoyed. Ha ha ha. Long Chen looked up at the sky and laughed. Instead of opening his mouth, he directly communicated with his soul and said, "Damn it, I've seen people who are shameless, but I haven't seen such shameless people as you." The paragraph I'm talking about is a description of the yin and yang albizia in the chapter of Medicine King. It has nothing to do with the Tea Sutra. Do you want me to expose you? Hello, little brother, be kind. We have something to say. The ancestor of the tea god preached in a hurry. For what? I don't hate arrogant people, but I hate people who are more arrogant than me. Long Chen sneered. Little brother, I have really seen the tea saint himself, and his old man has indeed instructed me. I can swear with my soul that it is not a bluff. The ancestor of tea god was so anxious that sweat came down from his forehead. So what? Because of this, you are staring at his old man's name and flaunting around? Your knowledge will only ruin his reputation. Today, I will clean up the door for him. The dragon dust hums coldly. No, little brother, how about a deal? The ancestor of the tea god road is anxious. Is there anything in your hand that I can look up to? Long Chin disdains the tunnel. He has robbed the Longting business house for such a long time. He is already rich. He just wants to clean up this guy who doesn't know the height of the earth. Are you satisfied with this thing? The old ancestor of Tea Shinto said and took out one thing, and as soon as that thing came out, Dragon Dust's laughter stopped abruptly, and his eyes suddenly changed. www.novelhold.com, the fastest update of the web novel. Chapter 3684. In the pot, there was a small tree. Although the tree was small, only 3 inches high, it was extremely exquisite. There are 7 colors of leaves on the tree, which are red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple. When he saw this small tree, Longchen almost didn't cry out. This is the species of the chaotic age Chibao glazed tree, also known as Kibaimyo tree, wisdom tree, and Bodhi tree. This kind of tree only exists in legend, and no one has seen it after the War of the Ancient Times. The reason why Longchen knew the Chibao glazed tree was in a volume of broken ancient books. Its 7 color leaves represent 7 forces, and these 7 forces are just like the power of Dragon Dust's 7 color rings, even the colors are relative. So when I saw this Chibao glazed tree, I almost didn't call it out even though I was shocked by the Dragon Dust. 7 color unicorn tree? I can't believe you have such a baby? Longchen was shocked. Of course, Longchen will not tell the tea god ancestor that this is the 7 treasures glazed tree, or this guy will not exchange with him if he is killed. However, Longchen thinks more. In this world, people who know the Chibao glazed tree are very rare. Even if you tell the tea god ancestor, he doesn't know what the Chibao glazed tree is. This time, Longchen did not use the technique of transmission, but directly talked to the ancestor of tea god. Haha, my little brother has good eyesight. I admire him for recognizing the 7 color unicorn tree at a glance. Tea god ancestor haha smile way, let everybody shock is before still glare at, now unexpectedly call Dragon Dust brother. People looked at each other, do not know what crazy 2 people, how the attitude changed so fast, some people cannot accept. However, hearing the name of the 7 color Kylan tree, countless people are still shocked. Some of the older generation of strong people have heard of the name of the 7 color Kirin tree. You're welcome. The 7 color Kirin tree is a relic of ancient times. It's the companion tree of the auspicious animal Kylan, and it's a symbol of auspiciousness. As the old saying goes, there are 7 color trees at home, which attract the unicorn, and the auspicious light rises to the clouds, and the ruatia shines on the door. It's said that when the tree is 10,000 feet high, the leaves on the tree will bloom with colorful lights and form colorful auspicious clouds. Then the Kylan will come. Your luck is really enviable. Longchen laughs. Seeing that Longchen didn't tear him down, the ancestor of Tea Shinto was very happy, which showed that everything had a drama. To be honest, the reason why I had such a blessing was given by the tea saint. This 7 color Kirin tree was given by the tea saint himself. I see. It's disrespectful. It turns out that you are really related to the tea saint. Longchen Yabeaquindu. Don't you, sir? I'm crazy about how old you are. I'll call you brother Longchen. My real name is Jiang Wuxin. You can call me Heartless Brother. Tea God Road Ancestor haha smile way. Haha good, Heartless Brother, how about we sit down and talk about it? Long Chen reached out and indicated. That's great. The ancestor of the tea god also laughed and happily sat down on the platform. All the people around looked at the two people with a confused face. This change was too sudden. Brother Longchen, you can see the sincerity of my brother. The 7-color unicorn tree is priceless. Let me tell you, before I met the tea sage, I was just a boy with mediocre qualifications. I didn't even have the potential to gather the blood of the first generation. Because I was excluded, I left my family and wandered. Later, with this 7-color unicorn tree, my talent changed dramatically. On that day, I woke up to the blood of the first generation. Later, my cultivation improved by leaps and bounds. In 300 years, I was promoted to the state of bamboo god. If you don't believe it, I can swear again with my soul. The ancestor of the tea god made tea by himself, and took the opportunity to preach to his soul that he was concentrating on making tea, and could not see any clue at all. Long Chen said with a smile, "No need, I believe what you said, but you didn't say the key point? For example, why did you set foot on the half-step god Zun after 300 years? Why did you still keep your cultivation in place after hundreds of thousands of years? For example, when the tree height of the 7-color unicorn tree is 10,000 meters, it will produce colorful rays and attract the auspicious animal Kirin. Why has it not grown up at all after hundreds of thousands of years? Don't tell me, when the tea sage gave you the 7-color unicorn tree, it was only the size of a grain of rice, this in fact. Don't lie, or it'll make you swear." Dragon Dust Light Tunnel, at the same time took the tea made by the tea god ancestor, gently sipped, closed his eyes to do meditation. Well, there are 3 reasons why I bear to transfer the 7-color Kirin tree. One is that its ability can only make me grow rapidly, which is ineffective for others. However, when I reach the present state, it will no longer help me. Second, when the tea sage gave me the 7-color unicorn tree, it was so big. No matter how hard I tried to fertilize it, it had not grown a cent in the past hundreds of thousands of years. Thirdly, when the tea sage handed me the 7-color Kirin tree, he didn't even tell me the name of the tree. He only told me to keep it properly and exchange what I needed in the future. Brother Longchen, I'm telling the truth. In fact, I'm full of respect for the tea master. Everything I have is given by him. So I created the tea Shinto. I want the whole world to know his name. To be honest, the tea sage has no advice except for giving me this 7-color unicorn tree and saying a word. I later secretly collected some fragments of the tea scripture and started to create the tea Shinto. I came to challenge the Dionysian palace to gain some fame. In fact, my heart is not bad. So, I hope you can give me the complete tea sutra. I'm willing to give you the 7-color Kirin tree. If it's not enough, you can ask for anything. As long as I have it, I'll never frown. The ancestor of tea Shinto is sincere. Long Chen didn't expect that this guy looks like he should be beaten, but he is a person who knows how to be grateful. But the tea saint and he did not know each other, but gave him the 7 treasures glazed tree to keep, and let him later exchange for what he needed. What is the meaning of this? Seeing Long Chen's eyes closed and meditating, the tea god ancestor also quietly closed his eyes and did not dare to disturb him. However, he was a little nervous and seemed to be waiting for the trial of Long Chen at any time. Obviously, he was not a good negotiator. His weaknesses had been exposed and he was obviously waiting to be slaughtered. No problem. I can give you all the first, second and third parts of the Book of Tea. Dragon Dust Road. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. The ancestor of tea Shinto excitedly handed the Qibao glazed tree to Longchen, who reached for the Qibao glazed tree. All of a sudden, the 7 treasures of the glazed tree suddenly trembled. The 7 colors of God light up, reflecting the sky. Heaven and earth were instantly covered by colorful God. www.novelhold.com, the fastest update of the web novel. Chapter 3685. The Qibao glazed tree suddenly disappeared from the hands of Longchen and appeared on the top of his head. The 7-color god ring behind the dragon dust was born automatically. The 7-color god ring of dragon dust and the colorful light of Qibao glass tree complement each other, and finally gradually integrate into one. Finally, the 7-treasure glass tree appears in the core area of the god ring. However, the Qibao glaze tree is too small. After integrating into the 7-color god ring, it gets smaller and finally disappears. At this time, the chaotic space of dragon dust trembled slightly, and the 7 treasures glaze tree even appeared in the chaotic space. When the Qibao glaze tree took root in the chaotic space, it was only 3 inches high, but it began to grow rapidly. In an instant, it reached more than a foot high. The leaves of the tree became more and more lush, but when it reached 3 feet high, it stopped growing. Dragon dust in the heart move will last in the magic Luo star domain get the World of Warcraft corpses, all into the black soil. The last time in the Muroshan domain, the corpses of Warcraft and dragon dust were stored. Because the building tree has reached the limit, it will not grow any longer. Even after the magic eye water lily grows to the 5th level, it cannot continue to grow. Therefore, all the corpses obtained are preserved. When the Qibao glaze tree enters the chaotic space, it absorbs vitality like a long whale. However, the chaotic space also has its own rules. It does not allow any spiritual tree to extract the vitality of others to support itself. Therefore, when the Qibao glaze tree grows to 3 feet, it consumes up the extra vitality of chaotic space, and it can no longer absorb vitality and continue to grow. When the dragon dust pushed the corpse mountains into the black soil, the endless vitality bloomed, and the Qibao glaze trees began to grow again. However, there were too many corpses, and it would take several days to digest them completely. It turns out that the little brother is the one I have to wait for. The colorful unicorn tree has finally found his master. I have finished the order of the tea sage. When he saw the 7 treasures of the glaze tree in the hands of Long Chen, he was like a divine soldier recognizing the Lord. There was an amazing vision, and the tea god ancestor was excited. And other strong people are moved, they can't explain what is going on. Even the strong men in the wine palace were stunned. Only in the eyes of the high priest, with a touch of enlightenment, slowly raised his glass and took a sip of wine, and a meaningful smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Listen to the tea god ancestor said so. Dragon dust also feel incredible. Is this 7 treasures glaze tree waiting for the fate of the people? Is he? It's a little too mysterious, isn't it? Thank you, brother. The treasure which has been covered for hundreds of thousands of years has been given to him directly now. It is also appropriate to call him elder brother. The complete tea scripture is in the Lingshao Academy. Elder brother, you can send your disciples to the Lingshao Academy General Courtyard to transcribe it. Dragon Dust Road. It's no wonder that Lingshao Academy is the first academy in 9 days and 10 places, which is worthy of its reputation. But I have nothing to do with Lingshao Academy. I'm afraid they won't let us transcribe. The old ancestor of Tea Shinto was embarrassed. Ha, you don't know that my eldest brother is the head of the 7th branch of Lingshao Academy? When you get to Lingshao Academy, you just need to report the name of my boss. No one will stop you. Guoran said with a smile. It's really rude of you to be the president of Lingshao Academy. The ancestor of the tea god was startled. Even if you don't agree with me when you come to the temple of tea ceremony, Lingshao Academy is different from other schools. We are open to the whole world. As long as you come with good intentions, we will never let you down. Longchen laughs. So, thank you very much, President Longchen. Guoran reported the identity of Dragon Dust. Tea god ancestors dare not call Dragon Dust brother directly to the president. You idiots, don't apologize to President Longchen. If you offend President Longchen, do you still act as if nothing happened? The ancestor of Tea Shinto suddenly scolded the disciples behind him. Xingyu and others were scolded, but they couldn't feel a bit of brain. Clearly, it was you who asked us to challenge the school. Now how can you scold us again? But when the old ancestor said something, they didn't dare to talk back. They had to face bitterly and give Longchen a fist. Sorry, Director Longchen. Bim bang bang. The ancestor of Tea Shinto kicked them at the corner of their legs, and these disciples were immediately kicked to their knees, and the ancestor of Tea Shinto angrily said, "Can you call President Longchen? He and your ancestors are brothers. There is no difference between the old and the young. How do I teach you at ordinary times?" Qingyu and others were kicked to kneel on the ground, and they were all wronged to cry. It seemed that Longchen was younger than them. The ancestor of Tea Shinto asked them to meet each other with the courtesy of their elders, especially in public. It was embarrassing. "Elder, I know I'm wrong. We don't know Taishan. I hope you don't remember the villains. Don't be angry with us. From now on, we will change our ways and make a new face, a new life." Qingyu said later, the voice choked, "The child a stomach of grievances, but there is no place to vent." Longchen was amused. The ancestor of Tea Shinto was just a straw bag. He made a mistake and asked his disciples to carry the pot. He didn't take on the responsibility and had no style. However, Qingyu and others could only eat coptis in silence. They couldn't say what they had suffered. "Get up!" With a big wave of Longchen's hand, an invisible force helps Qingyu and others up. Seeing Qingyu's bitter-gourd face, Longchen hated this man at first, but now he thinks this guy is very poor. "The first time I met you, I was a little embarrassed to receive such a big gift from you. You were all good in other aspects, but the power of soul was not enough. I'll give you this 9-turn soul-nourishing pill." Longchen reached out and handed Qingyu a pill. Qingyu thought that Longchen was just sending him away at will, and would not give him anything good. But when he took the pill, he was shocked to find that it was a treasure pill that many practitioners had never seen in their lives. "This, thank you very much, thank you, 3 elders." Qingyu was surprised and pleased. For him, this pill can be said to be a timely help. He knows that this treasure pill can change his soul completely. He takes the pill in both hands and kowtows to Longchen in a hurry. This time, he is totally willing. Seeing this picture, Guoran and Xiachen are somewhat embarrassed. Guoran gives Qingyu a delicate crossbow and Xiachen gives him a life-saving talisman. Qingyu is too excited. His face is full of ecstasy, while other disciples are envious. "Thank you, President Longchen. I have one more thing I want to ask President Longchen for advice, and I hope President Longchen can give me an answer." The old ancestor of Tea Shinto was serious. www.novelhold.com, the fastest update of the web novel. Chapter 3686. Oh? Please say it? Dragon Dust Road. President Longchen once said before that, in the tea scripture, it is mentioned that a sergeant will be promoted to a heavenly official, a sergeant will become a celestial official, a sergeant will be immortal in the southern palace, and a corporal will live for a long time. In fact, this sentence was criticized by countless practitioners at that time. To tell the truth, I consulted many so-called celebrities because of this sentence. They scoffed at this sentence and made a lot of noise at that time. It's very unpleasant. The old tea god looks a little ugly. What he said was that he was very unhappy. In fact, he fell out with others on the spot, and then he couldn't beat him or scold him. He could only swallow it. Later, he no longer consulted others, directly founded the tea Shinto. Himself as the founder, he revered the tea saint, vowed to carry forward the tea ceremony. Today, when I met Longchen, and Longchen said this, the ancestor of tea Shinto couldn't help saying, "I'd like to know your understanding." As soon as the voice of tea god's ancestor fell, people watching the bustle in the distance, as well as the strong people in the Dionysian palace, all looked at the dragon dust. The way the tea saint said was too abstruse, specious, and even rebellious. It felt like crazy talk. Therefore, people were full of curiosity about this man. Longchen said with a smile, "It's normal that this sentence is too arrogant and can't be understood and recognized by people. When the sergeant got the way, he was promoted to the heavenly officer. When the sergeant got the way, he was listed in the southern palace. When the corporal got the way, he lived for a long time." On the surface, it seems that they are extremely confident in their own tea classics, full of pride and uncomfortable. But many people misinterpret the meaning of the tea sage, which he said in the last paragraph of the tea sutra. But this sentence is not aimed at the tea scripture, Nor does it say that we must pursue the way of heaven through the tea ceremony. What he said covered 10,000 ways, but he didn't say it had to be a tea ceremony. However, some people were prejudiced against the tea sage because they could not understand the tea scriptures. They could not see the mountains in the mountains. After that, can you really be promoted to Tianguan, Nangong Lixian, and live for a long time? Still asked the tea god. Do you know what it means to be promoted to the rank of heavenly officer, to be a member of the Southern Palace, and to be immortal for a long time in the world? Long Chen asked. This I don't really know. The ancestor of tea Shinto originally wanted to say that he knew it, but he felt that it was not so simple, so he did not dare to say it and was afraid of losing face. Long Chen said, the heavenly official who is promoted to the heavenly officials is the god. The god who is in charge of the order of the 9 heavens can be understood as the master of the world in which we live. The southern palace of the fairies is the Lingxiao Palace in the mythological age, also known as the Heavenly Palace. It is the place where the heavenly officials live. If Tianguan is the master, Nangong Lixian is the official outside Tiangong. However, there is another saying in Nangong. It is said that there are 5 palaces in the world of 9 heavenly beings, namely, Wushang, Lingxiao, Yushu and Wuliang. Yushu Palace is the South Palace. It is the main gate of Tiangong and the gate of life. The corresponding Wuliang Palace is the gate of death, which is opposite to life and death. Therefore, Nangong Lixian can also be understood as standing outside the Yushu Palace, only 1 door away from Lingxiao Palace. Maybe this gate is the difference between a sergeant and a sergeant in the mouth of the tea saint. As for the corporal's attainment of Tao, his long life should mean that his life is longer than that of ordinary practitioners. He has a clear understanding of the principle of the operation of the law of heaven. His mind is calm like water and his life is long. These are some of my personal opinions. As for whether this is the meaning, I'm afraid I have to ask the tea master. Long Chen's words stunned many powerful people on the scene. Many of them, who have lived for countless years, have never heard of them. Director Long Chen, does the 5 palaces really exist? Is Lingxiao Academy related to Lingxiao Palace? There was an old man in the distance who couldn't help interrupting. The old man was a man with a strong sense of reverence. His hair was white, but his tone was very respectful. Long Chen said with a wry smile, no one knows whether the 5 palaces exist. I just saw some introductions in the classics of Lingxiao Academy. However, these introductions are basically written in the form of fairy tales, without much basis. But some of the stories are closely related, reasonable and can withstand scrutiny. Among them, the 8 great palaces are impressive. It's a pity that the things recorded in mythology are all one-sided. We can only see the leopard in the eye, but we can't see all of them. It's a pity that we can't see them all. Therefore, my attitude towards mythology is not to believe it or to believe it all. As for whether the Lingxiao Academy is related to the Lingxiao Palace in the fairy tale, to be honest, I really don't know. Anyway, after reading so many ancient books, I can't find any connection between the two. If you are interested, you can also visit our Lingxiao Academy. As long as you come with good intentions, I will never let you down. It's really worthy of being the youngest dean of Lingxiao Academy in history. This insight, bearing and mind are really admirable. I can't cross the sea of demons. I can't bear the impact of the disaster barrier. I can't go to hell in my life. However, I will send an excellent disciple to visit on behalf of me. Exclaimed the old man. There is a strong barrier between the dark and the purple sky. You can freely cross the celestial barrier below the celestial kingdom. However, when you get to the realm of king, you have to pay a huge price to cross the heaven barrier. If you don't, you will lose your life. If it's a very weak realm king, it's okay. The stronger the king is, the more terrifying the impact will be. As they are, the stronger they will break through the barrier of heaven, which is no different from dying. Therefore, they are hopeless in this life and can only send their own disciples to Lingxiao Academy in the future. Although people all know that Lingxiao Academy is the first academy in 9 days and 10 places, and is the oldest academy inherited. However, with its gradual decline, it may not be mentioned for thousands of years, and people will gradually forget it. Today, Long Chen tells so many things about the mythical age, which makes people think that, as the oldest academy in 9 days and 10 places, the details are unimaginable. Moreover, Lingxiao Academy is always welcome to communicate with any sect. For a time, countless people are full of yearning for Lingxiao Academy. Master, do you want us to enter the 3,000 world? Qingyu couldn't help asking. My personal suggestion is to forget it. It's hard to say. You have high vision and low hand. Without the protection of your ancestors, you would have been reincarnated. In the 3,000 worlds, there are countless ruthless people. The probability that you will come out alive is extremely low. You'd better go to the hell heaven to learn from the scriptures. Dragon Dust Road. Okay, I'll listen to my predecessors, ancestors, and disciples. I'll start now, and I will definitely bring back the complete Tea Sutra. Qingyu is full of confidence and never feels sorry for missing the 3,000 world grand event. The ancestor of Tea God once again thanks Longchen, and then he takes his disciples away. After seeing them off, he returns to the Dionysian palace. When he looks at the chaotic space again, Longchen is shocked. What's the situation? www. Ninefold.com, the fastest update of the web novel. Chapter 3687. After a while, the chaotic world has undergone earth-shaking changes, and Longchen can hardly recognize it. Originally left at the edge of the chaotic space, Qibao Glaze Tree, do not know when actually ran into the core area of the black soil. The bodies piled up on the black soil have disappeared. The Qibao Glaze Tree has grown from more than 3 feet high to more than 3 feet high. The Qibao Glaze Tree is full of light and transparent, just like glass. The Taoist light from the colorful leaves on the tree crown falls on the ground, turning into a milky white halo. The original black soil has been dyed white. Black soil has endless power of death, but the arrival of the 7 treasures glazed tree, unexpectedly hard in the black soil world, opened up a piece of white land. Millions of miles of black earth space, forming a black and white 2 colors. Looking from the sky, Long Chen was surprised to find that a Tai Chi pattern had been formed here. Qibao Glaze Tree and Tiandao Tree are separated from each other. Qibao Glaze Tree emits sacred glory, while Tiandao Tree carries the dark power of death. The power between them is contrary to each other. It seems that the 2 forces are fighting in the dark. Compared with Tiandao Tree, Qibao Glaze Tree is much smaller, but it can occupy half of the black earth world. The spirit of dragon dust has just arrived in front of the Qibao Glaze Tree. Suddenly, 2 figures fly out from under the Qibao Glaze Tree. They are the dragon incarnated by Lei Linger and Hua Linger. Brother Longchen, we love this tree. It will be our home in the future. Lei Ling Er exclaimed excitedly. With it, I seem to be growing all the time, but I can't say where I'm growing up. In short, we love it. Hua Linger is also excited and chirps. The 7 treasures glaze tree, also known as Kibamio tree, wisdom tree and Bodhi tree, is a species in the chaotic era and also a sacred tree in myths and legends. It is said that Danning has branded it as an associated deity with which it has imprinted its own soul imprint and shared Shouyuan with it, which is as precious as life. However, even if it is a legend, there is not much about the introduction of Qibao Glaze Tree. Its fame is too big, but it has what ability, no one can say clearly. When the spirit of dragon dust came to the front of the Qibao Glaze Tree, countless lights fell from the tree. The body of dragon dust was shocked and bathed in the colorful light. It seemed that Longchen was accepting spiritual baptism, a kind of power, and swam in the body of dragon dust. At that moment, the dragon dust was comfortable, and the Qibao Glaze Tree was not very strong, but it was continuous and continuous. At the same time, the Qibao Glaze Tree seemed to be sending out a strange wave. In his mind, the shadow of Qibao Glaze Tree was soon branded. All of a sudden, the spirit of dragon dust retreated from the chaotic space, but with the dragon dust, there were Qibao Glaze Trees. Boss. Xia Chen and Guoran are studying the runes on the drawing beside Long Chen. Suddenly, the 7 treasures glaze tree appears, which startles them. They were even more surprised when they recognized that this was the small tree that the ancestor of Tea God had given to Dragon Dust. How could it be so big in a flash? When the Qibao Glaze tree appeared, the colorful light fell down and wrapped the three people together. Guoran and Xiaqin immediately felt comfortable, and the holy power began to baptize their bodies. On Guoran's right arm, countless runes lit up, and at the same time, a lot of light spots appeared in Guoran's body, which were all the runes that had entered Guoran's body in the summer morning before. I see. Xiaqin and Guoran yelled at the same time. When the divine light shone on them, their heads were like a flash of light, and they suddenly realized countless truths. The drawing they studied just now is the rune on Guoran's arm. They have studied it for a long time, but they have never worked out a famous one. However, the more frustrated they are, the braver they are, the more they study it. At this time, the difficulties that had caught them before suddenly became a lot simpler. What they didn't understand suddenly opened up. They solved several puzzles and understood several runes. All of a sudden, the Qibao Glaze tree disappeared and returned to the chaotic space. Everything was like an illusion. Guoran and Xiaqin changed their faces and wrote quickly, leaving many notes on the paper. They were afraid that all these were illusions. But soon they found that this was not an illusion, but a real one. They looked at the dragon dust with disbelief. At the moment when the Qibao Glaze tree appeared, they seemed to think like a spring of water, and now they were beaten back to their original form. Boss, you got the baby this time? Don't be so stingy. Summon up. Let's continue to decipher the runes on the supreme bone, Guoran said excitedly. Just at that moment, almost equivalent to their efforts of a month, this guy suddenly tasted the sweetness. Longchen finally understood that Qibao Glaze tree is really a tree of wisdom, known as the epitome of the way of heaven. With the tree as a mirror, it can reflect all kinds of ways. Before Longchen didn't feel much, he just felt that he was baptized by the light of Qibao Glaze tree, and his spirit was sublimated. At that moment, he could completely relax and enter the ethereal state. But I don't know how, he called out the 7 treasures glaze tree. As a result, he didn't react, but the two guys were like stepping on the cat's tail. Boss, don't be dazzled. Call it out quickly. Let's borrow some credit. Guoran urged. Borrow a fart, it won't come out, I have a hairy way? Longchen has no good breath. Dragon Dust at this time found that, do not know when Qibao Glass Tree actually had his soul mark, just like weapons. However, let him how to communicate with the Qibao Glaze tree, it just did not move, his soul can enter the chaotic space, Qibao Glass tree will still nourish him with divine light, but it can't summon it. Is there not enough strength? Longchen's mind moved. He saw that there were still many stored corpses, and he fell out of his head. Longchen found that once these bodies entered the black soil, several breathing times were swallowed up, and then turned into infinite vitality and poured into the chaotic space. Qibao Glaze tree began to absorb the qi of life and continued to grow. Dragon Dust suddenly looked at the heavenly tree in the black soil, patted its trunk and sighed, "It's hard for you. You have paid so much, and you have to be occupied by others." Tiandao tree is to nourish Qibao Glaze tree with its own efforts, but Qibao Glaze tree has occupied its territory, which is unfair to Tiandao tree. However, the heavenly tree stands still and silent. It is like a living creature without wisdom and can only do things according to instinct. When the dragon dust emptied all the corpses, it took only an hour for the black earth to swallow up. It seemed that the arrival of the 7 treasures glazed tree strengthened its strength. The Qibao Glaze tree is called out again by the dragon dust. Guoran and Xiaqin shout excitedly, take out the drawing and write with great enthusiasm. www.novelhold.com, the fastest update of the web novel. Chapter 3688 The 7 treasures glazed tree blooms colorful divine light, and dragon dust bathes in the divine light, and the 7-color divine ring appears automatically behind it. Dragon Dust is looking for the relationship between the 7-color god ring and the 7-color god light of the 7 treasure glass tree. The power of the 7-color god ring is so close to the fluctuation of the 7-color glass tree. When the seven-color god ring blooms, the power of the seven-color god ring will automatically flow into the seven-color god ring. However, the power of the seven-color god ring cannot flow into the Qibao glass tree. The power transmission of the Qibao glass tree is one way. After a long time, Qibao glass tree disappeared again and returned to the chaotic space. The Qibao glaze tree summoned by dragon dust is its own body, not its noumenon. It can be summoned out, but when it stays, it seems to consume its power. When the power is consumed to a certain extent, it will automatically return to the chaotic space to rest. Before the rest is good, it will let the dragon dust summon, and it will ignore the dragon dust. It'll go too soon. Just a few breaths. Guoran was dissatisfied with the tunnel. Be content, you have figured out 37 runes, and have passed the repeated calculation. All of them are correct. What's more, when we calculate, we can't feel the flow rate of time. If you complain again, you'll be careful. Summer morning laughs. Xiachen was more sober than Guoran. He understood 37 runes in one breath. If it was before, without half a year's time, he would not dare to think about it. One should know how to be content. However, these runes are all runes on the arm of Guoran's supreme master. Guoran is also an acute child, and he would like to understand them all at once. Guoran, you're almost done. You need to practice in summer morning. He doesn't have time to practice when he studies your runes every day. Long Chen frowned. These days, Xiachen was caught by Guoran and kept studying the supreme arm. During this period of time, Xiachen never had a rest, let alone practice. Long Chen couldn't help beating Guoran. Guoran immediately said to Xiachen with some guilt, "Brother, I'm really sorry. I'm so selfish. I have so many runes in my supreme arm that I can't finish my research. Don't delay your practice because of me." After Long Chen reminded him, he knew that he had gone too far. Since he met Xiachen, all the time of Xiachen had been given to him, and he had no time to practice. It's okay. Anyway, our brothers are always on the same scale. If you are strong, and you are equal to each other. Summer morning laughs. That's right. Let's continue to study the supreme arm. Guoran laughed. Pa Long Chen slapped Guo on the head, and then Guoran showed his teeth in pain. Long Chen scolded angrily, "Xiachen is polite to you, afraid of your guilt, but you don't treat yourself as an outsider." "My brother, what's the guilt? Is it not he who is strong that I am strong?" Guoran covered his head and couldn't help murmuring. Seeing that the dragon dust slapped his hands again, he was scared to hide behind the summer morning. "Xiachen, you should leave more time for yourself. Although your Fuzhuan skill is strong, even if you meet me, you can escape even if you can't defeat me. But this time when the 3,000 worlds are opened, Tianjiao is endless and monsters are rampant. Tianjiao of all regions and monsters that have been sealed for countless years will wake up." Big brother Xia Guhong said that the opening of the 3,000 worlds is a starting point of the impending chaos in 9 days and 10 places. At that time, all the major races will appear, and the creatures of the dark world will also be killed. At that time, the 3,000 world will be a killing ground. Even if there are no all kinds of eye-catching treasures, I am afraid that when enemies meet, they will kill a river of blood. I'm afraid that you'll meet domain masters, and your runes will be restrained, and you won't even have a chance to escape. Guoran's face changed as soon as he heard this. The last time he fought against Liao Bensong, his belief field was a nightmare for the three of them. If Long Chen didn't find a way out with the eyes of purgatory, all three of them would die. And that war, Xiachen was suppressed too obviously. In case of a domain master, Xiachen was really dangerous. Thinking of his own time, he had been pestering Xiachen to help him study runes and improve himself. It was really selfish and Guoran felt guilty. "Boss, I understand that, in fact, while helping Guoran to study the supreme arm, I am also studying the methods of breaking the power of the field. I also think of some possibilities from the runes on Guoran's supreme arm. To help Guoran study the supreme arm is also to help myself." Summer morning nodded. "That's good. As I asked, the entrance of the 3,000 world is the turbulent flow of space. After entering, it will be involved in different space channels, and no one knows which direction it will fall into. Therefore, the probability of two people together is extremely slim. We should be prepared to fight our own way. Guoran has the supreme bone and battle armor. He has been able to defend himself. I don't worry. I'm worried about you. The next time, I can also summon a Qibao glaze tree. It can wash our soul. In that state, it will let people into the state of emptiness, easier to epiphany. So, in the next few days, you don't have to worry about Guoran, and try to study the method to crack the field. Then we will see if we can catch the power of the 7 treasures glaze tree and work out the solution. Dragon Dust Road. In the next few days, Guoran did not bother Xiaqin very much. Instead, he began to bestow runes on battle armor. All these runes were studied by Xiaqin before and were directly cast on them. In this period of time, with the support of Longchen pills, their accomplishments have reached the peak of Shenjun, which is only 1 step away from the fairyland. And Longchen's cultivation is about to break through the 12th heaven of Shenjun realm. Moreover, he is so crazy that he devours pills and improves his cultivation rapidly, but he doesn't feel any discomfort. Especially after promotion, the breath did not change much, and all the forces were absorbed by Zeke Star. Therefore, during this period of promotion, Longchen did not feel any stronger. 5 days later, Longchen can finally summon the Qibao glaze tree again. In the morning of summer, he is ready to bathe in the brilliance of the 7 treasures and start to calculate. However, it is a pity that the Qibao glaze tree only stayed for a few minutes and then returned to the chaotic space. Obviously, it has not yet fully rested. Xiaqin didn't finish all the calculations. However, to Longchen's comfort, Xiaqin said that he already had an eye to grind. Even if he didn't have the Qibao glaze tree, he could complete the next calculation. The next day, Dragon Dust quietly advanced to the 12th heaven, and at this time, Xia Guhong came. Let's go to Xiantiandu, and we will meet the heroes of the world www. Novelhold.com, the fastest update of the web novel. Chapter 3689. Xiantiandu is one of the oldest cities in Xiantian. It is said that the city is actually a ruin, an unimaginable ruin. Xiantian is located in the core of Xiantian, but Xiantian is different from Mingay Ocean. Xiantian's board is divided. There are many areas that are not connected with each other. There are even some places. If you want to come here, you can go around from other days, or you can get here through the netherworld and the demon world. So here, no one can walk through the whole purple sky. Some relatively closed areas hide many monsters. They don't come out easily. Once they come out, they will set off a storm. When Guoran's boat slowly approached Xiantian capital, there was desolation in the eye, and a solemn and stirring atmosphere came. Before he knew it, the blood in Longchen's body flowed faster. His hand trembled slightly. He was surprised. He didn't know what the situation was. You really have the blood of fighting in your body. The call of hundreds of millions of years ago can arouse the resonance of your qi and blood. Xia Guhong looks at the dragon dust, can't help but exclaim, "Brother, do you mean?" Longchen was surprised. Xia Guhong nodded his head and said, "Yes, during the Great War in ancient times, this is the core of the battlefield. The dead and wounded in that war cannot be counted. Every inch of land here has been soaked with blood, and every wisp of air is stained with endless resentment. Here, ancient trolls have been buried and heroes have fallen. However, with the passage of time the way of heaven has erased countless traces. It seems that the war can only be engraved on the inscriptions of history. As time goes on, people's memory of that period of time has gradually faded away. I don't know whether it is unbearable to look back, or dare not face it, or they feel that history will not repeat itself and selectively forget it." Xia Guhong looked at the desolate world in front of her eyes and uttered a long sigh, which contained a very complex mood. Longchen knows that Xia Guhong's experience is much more than that of him. He stands at a height that he can't reach. When he sees this world, some of his heart is filled with emotion, while some of Longchen's only have the sense of war. In the air, he felt the emotions of fear, anger, unwillingness, nostalgia, and so on. These are the spirits and wills left by the strong people before their death, which have been immortal for hundreds of millions of years, and can still be felt by dragon dust. Not only dragon dust, but also Xia Chen and Guoran are affected by the breath here. Their eyes become cold and sharp, and their killing intention surges. They have followed Long Chen for so many years and fought bloody battles all the way. They are most sensitive to this breath. They seem to have seen scenes of countless human beings fighting with blood and killing all kinds of fierce demons. They would like to go upstream along the river of time and space to participate in the war. With the boat slowly moving forward, the scene ahead is more and more amazing. From a distance, we can see that there is a space black hole, like the mouth of a monster, swallowing the world. Around the black hole, the space is constantly breaking. You can see the terrible blade of space whirling around. In the endless darkness, there is a terrible sound, just like the roar of a god beast or the cry of a fierce ghost. Hundreds of millions of years have passed since the ancient battlefields. Can't heaven and earth be restored? When Guoran saw the black hole, he could not help but tremble. With their accomplishments, if they break out with all their strength, they can also break through the space barrier, but soon the space barrier will heal. It's like chopping in the water. It will cause some damage when entering the water, but as time goes on, everything will return to its original state. And the battle traces left by the ancient times have been handed down to the present. How terrible is the person who made the move? In the ancient times, it is said that the strongest Terrans were. The strong people in that era could carry mountains and seas, collapse stars and break the moon, which is not what we can influence. Xia Guhong looked at the black hole with nostalgia in his voice. No, isn't the wheel of history always moving forward? After hundreds of millions of years of precipitation, the Terrans have been constantly pushing out the old and bringing forth new ones. Standing on the shoulders of giants, they have created new skills and techniques. Today's Terrans are in full bloom. They should be better than before, Guoran couldn't help saying. Although the ancients are strong, they should be stronger and stronger after the efforts of countless generations. After all, Terrans are not monsters, they only have blood inheritance, and Terrans have not only blood inheritance, but also historical inheritance. The tactics of Terrans can be handed down by writing secret scripts. As the saying goes, everyone is making great efforts to innovate. Today's Terrans are in full bloom, and numerous new Taoist methods have been derived. However, listening to Xia Guhong's tone, I feel that the Terran is declining and has been regressing. This is unacceptable. Xia Guhong shook his head and said, in the ancient times, it was extremely difficult for the human race to survive in the cracks. Later, the Terran was born a world-class strong man. He created his own unique magic skill and led the Terran to fight in 9 days and 10 places. The Terran stood on the top of all nations for the first time. Long Chen, you often say that the human race is the spirit of all kinds of things, and is favored by the way of heaven. But in fact, before that person appeared, the human race was not the spirit of all kinds of Tao, and would not be favored by the heaven. The human family was just slaves and scholars of all nationalities. It was the powerful man who killed heaven and blood, and 9 days bowed his head. The way of heaven could only crawl under his feet and had to respect the human race. From then on, the Terran really rose. With the help of heaven, the Terran really began to realize, began to produce wisdom, and began to create skills and skills. Guoran, I know that you have amazing talent in casting tools, but don't be unconvinced. In those days, the Terrans were chosen by heaven. They were baptized by the light of wisdom and edified by the laws of all kinds. Their intelligence was far better than that of the present generation. When hearing that they were baptized by the light of wisdom and influenced by the law of 10,000 Tao, the 3 people of Longchen were shocked. Was Xia Guhong's state of being baptized by the 7 treasures glazed tree? Guoran stopped talking. Bathed in the light of the 7 treasures glazed tree, he felt like a spring of thought and endless inspiration splashing, which made it easier for him to puzzle himself. If the people of that era, as Xia Guhong said, were baptized by the light of wisdom and edified by the laws of all kinds, they would not be able to reach them now. They only accepted the baptism of a little bit of Qibao glazed tree, and they had amazing feelings. They couldn't imagine how smart people in that era would be. Big brother, who is the most powerful man in your mouth? Long Chen couldn't help asking. Xia Guhong looks at Long Chen and smiles. He doesn't answer, but his smile has already given Long Chen an answer. Dragon dust heart crazy jump. As he expected, that person must be the Lord of 9 stars, the man who makes 9 days bow his head. So, wasn't the 9-star master's formula created before the heaven recognized the Terran? When he thought of this problem, Long Chen was even more shocked. The master of 9 stars was equal to opening up a precedent that had never been before. So he changed the cultivation path of the 9-star domineering formula. Did he also want to create a precedent? Boom! Suddenly, there was a thunderbolt in the distance, and the atmosphere of fury spread. There's a fight. Go and have a look. Guoran suddenly exclaimed excitedly and drove the boat straight ahead. www.novelhold.com, the fastest update of the web novel. Chapter 3690. As the boat approached, Long Chen saw 2 monsters fighting in the distance. One was a giant hundreds of miles tall, and the other was a strange creature. The creature, like a fox or a dog, has 2 heads and sharp claws like a knife. It cuts through the void with one stroke, and the void is marked with cracks by its nails. Its momentum is extremely amazing. It's the ice-fire fox. Long Chen was slightly surprised. The double-headed creature was an ancient monster. It had 2 heads, one in charge of the power of fire and the other in charge of the power of ice. Roar! The ice-fire fox wolf issued a roar. Suddenly 2 heads opened at the same time, the force of ice and fire erupted, and 2 divine lights were seen, and they shot at the giant at the same time. Boom! There was a startling explosion. When the ice and fire power came from the mouth of the ice-fire fox wolf, the 2 forces did not conflict, but when they hit the giant, the 2 forces instantly fused and exploded. Cold and hot fusion of the moment, the void inch fragmentation. Under the alternation of heat and cold, even the void cannot bear. But the giant, dressed in animal skin, was unarmed and had no weapons. He was hard blocked with his body. Half of his body was burned red, and half of his body was covered with a layer of frost. He was hit by a blow and flew far away. Boom! The giant opened his arms and let out an angry roar. The frost and fire that covered his body broke, and he rushed to the wolf again as if nothing had happened. Guoran and Xiachen were startled. They had never seen such a terrible body. The giant did not use any skills. He completely took the attack with his body. Not to mention flesh and blood, even if it is a sharp weapon, it will be damaged by the force of ice and fire. Boom boom. 2 huge bodies, in a fierce battle, huge strength, make the world tremble, but strangely, their breath, but cannot destroy the purple sky inside the building debris. According to the law, the remains of the buildings here have been rotten and vulnerable to attack for a long time, but it seems that there is a mysterious law protecting this place. That big man is a giant in the wilderness. They don't know how to practice, and they all fight by their physical strength. But their bodies have natural lines, just like wearing armor. Ordinary magic weapons and sharp blades can't hurt them. Even some magic powers can't help him. Dragon Dust Road. Isn't that just like Amon? By the way, boss, have you never heard from Amon? Summer Morning asked. Long Chen shook his head and said, Amon belongs to the barbarians. It is said that all the barbarians died in the ancient war. After the fall of the barbarian king, the barbarian soldiers fought with the enemy to the last soldier, and finally all of them were destroyed. I saw a barbarian descendant in Lingshao Academy, but his blood was weakened and he had already left the category of barbarian. I have also been to other tribes and read their genealogies. They are just a branch of the barbarians. They have almost nothing to do with the barbarians. So it's hard to find Amon. Long Chen is also full of worries about Amon. The child's family is gone. I don't know where the strong dragon clan will send him. The boy has no one to take care of him. It is estimated that he will suffer a lot. I hope we can meet Amon this time. Xiachen holds the fist. 3,000 worlds open, and the entrances are all over the world. Our place is only one of the 5 entrances to the purple sky, and there are also entrances in other days. I believe that we will meet many old friends. Hey, you can wait and see. Long Chen laughs, full of expectation in his heart. Xia Guhong said that 3,000 worlds have been opened, 3 roads, 6 realms, 9 days and 10 places. In addition to some special areas, there are basically entrances. However, before the entrance appears, we must first calculate the general orientation, otherwise we can't go in time, and the entrance will be closed. Because the place where the entrance appears is not fixed. Some of the entrances are in some Jedi and can't be entered. This entrance is useless. People have to look for other entrances again. And some entrances are too far away and even need to detour. There is no time at all. Some people can only miss this event in vain. However, most people can participate, so Long Chen is also full of expectations for the opening of the 3,000 world. Boom! With a loud noise, the ice firefox wolf once again hit the giant, flying, but what people didn't expect was that the ice firefox wolf stepped on the void, turned around and ran, and disappeared in an instant. What's the situation? Won't win or lose? Guoran was puzzled. Obviously, whether it is the giant or the ice and firefox wolf, did not break out with all strength, so it ended in a vicious way. The wilderness giants are the enemies of most Warcraft and monsters, because the wilderness giants live by hunting and eat these beasts with strong flesh bodies to improve themselves. When the wolf sees a giant in the wild, he attacks instinctively. In fact, it is also a kind of trial. If it thinks it can kill the giant, it will not go. If he leaves, it means that he can't do anything about this wild giant, and even is in danger of being eaten, so he has to leave. Xia Guhong explained. Attack instinctively? What is that? Summer Morning can't help but ask. In some races, there is a kind of hatred that can be imprinted on their bones, blood vessels, and even the depths of their souls. Once they smell each other's breath, they can't help but launch attacks. Some with deep hatred will explode into endless battles as soon as they meet. We are human beings, hatred can only rely on memory, but memory, as time goes on, is easy to fade away. Therefore, the Terran has passed on for such a long time, and has experienced countless times of bullying, oppression, and slaughter. However, the Terran cannot engrave hatred in the soul forever like other creatures. Many races therefore look down upon our Terrans and think that Terrans are born slaves. Once the scars are healed, they forget the pain and do not have a long memory. Xia Guhong rode. Long Chen said with a wry smile, although it's a little ugly, but this comment really hit the nail on the head. No wonder those races despise our people. There are too many base bones in our people. I saw countless human beings kneeling and licking orcs in a celestial realm. They forgot how these orcs slaughtered their ancestors. This group of people is a disgrace to the human race. If I meet them, I'll teach them how to behave. Guoran said angrily. You can teach them well, it's a great credit. Xiachen laughs, he knows this is impossible. However, when Xiachen Gang talked about the boundless merit, he heard someone shouting, Wuliang Palace in front of Wuliang Mountain, Wuliang outside Wuliang Gate, Tianjiao has no way to pursue his dream. Once he meets Emo Nian, he becomes empty. www.novelhold.com, the fastest update of the web novel. Chapter 3691. Is this sack coming? Long Chen heard that voice, cannot help but be surprised and happy. Unexpectedly, Emo Nian is also in this area. But since he has been in this area for so long, why doesn't the boy come out to meet? Dang dang dang. Bang bang bang. Then there was a sound of gongs and drums. After a burst of beating, the first one yelled, Wuliang Palace in front of Wuliang Mountain, Wuliang outside Wuliang Gate. Tianjiao has no way to pursue his dream. Once he meets Emo Nian, he becomes empty. Then there was a bang, bang 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 bang. Long Chen looked at it from beginning to end, did not see Emo Nian's figure at all. Damn it. Is your family dead? Is it a funeral? Some people really can't stand this voice, can't help but curse. But let others abuse, these people are still sad, blow and beat all the way, repeat the doggerel again and again. Damn it, Knock me again and smash your heads. A strong man can't stand it, holding a big knife, blocking their way. Poof! The strong man with the sword just appeared, and the man who was shouting loudly suddenly had a long knife in his hand. His sword pierced the sky as fast as lightning, and his arm was cut off. The strong man with the sword was frightened and angry. If he didn't hide fast just now, the sword would split him into 2 pieces. Who could have thought that this fool-like man was an expert? Get the hell out of here. Do you think I'm willing to call? If I had not been cursed, would I have been so disgraceful? Damn it, who of you don't like me, just try to kill me? Do you dare? The man yelled, his voice full of anger and grievance. Hiss! The man stretched out his hand to tear his robe and revealed his upper body. When people saw his body, even a strong man like Longchen, he took a cold breath. There was a grotesque hole in his chest, about the size of a man's fist. There was a black air flowing in it, and there was an endless breath of death in the black air. Take a closer look at the black air. It seems that there is a hairy thing crawling in it, but it can't really see it. This scene makes the scalp numb. Damn it, I've been cursed. Now life is worse than death. If you kill me, I've long wanted to die, but I don't have the courage to kill myself. If you kill me, I can't get it. If you kill me, the curse will be transferred to you. Do you want to have a try? The man's voice with crying cavity, shouting, that hysterical appearance, almost crazy, frightening. That's the corpse curse. What a cruel means, someone exclaimed and recognized the origin of the black fog on his chest. Obviously, the man knew that the move was very terrible. Damn it, I lost myself to Grandma's house. If I don't read this broken poem all day, I'll be dead and I'll be in agony. Not only do I have to read it, but also in places where there are many people. The more people I listen to, the more I can relieve my pain. If you don't like me, just do it. We don't want to live. After the man finished, the person behind continued to knock and beat, and then the man continued to shout in his voice, Wuliang Palace in front of Wuliang Mountain, Wuliang outside Wuliang Gate. Tianjiao has no way to pursue his dream, and once he meets Mo Nian, he will become empty. People looked at them in tears, listless, powerless. Obviously, they were all cursed. People were surprised and funny. People used to think that these people were very boring, but now they think they are very interesting. They don't know what the people who curse them want to do. Big brother, it's almost time to put the photo jade. A strong man behind the drum reminds. The void vibrates, and a photo jade is released, and then people see a big fat man and a little fat man. When people saw the fat man, the faces of countless old powerful men changed, and they exclaimed, Blood killed Empta, the master of the hall. The name of Emputa is known to many powerful people of the older generation. This is an extremely insidious killer. He does not break the means for the purpose, so he is called the despicable murderer Emputa. Some of the older generation of strong, and he is hate, but also fear. Now see his picture, many people nervous instant tense up. They don't know whether this is the prelude to Emputa's killing. You know, the way Emputa killed people is unpredictable. Maybe he used these strange people to attract people's attention. For a time, countless people felt cold on their backs. People have noticed the fat man. Only Long Chen, Xia Chen and Guo Ran recognized the little fat man at a glance. He is Mo Nian. Pa. Suddenly, there was a loud noise. In the picture, Mo Nian was holding a shovel and firmly pulled it on her face. What? All the strong people present were shocked and couldn't believe it. Some even slapped her in the face. The most bizarre thing is that in that picture, a little fat man squats on the ground, Emputa probes out from the soil, is pulled in the face by the little fat man with a spade, and pulls out a huge pit with soil. Just when people were still shocked by the picture just now, the man had already put away the photo jade and continued to knock and beat. Wuliang Palace in front of Wuliang Mountain, Wuliang outside Wuliang Gate. Tianjiao has no way to pursue his dream, and once he meets Mo Nian, he becomes empty. Hello, little brother, please wait, your photo jade will be played again. An old man stopped them. But the man turned his eyes and said, 100,000 immortal Wang Jing, you can buy it back and put it at will. A piece of immortal Wang Jing can buy 100,000 shadow jade. You need 100000 immortal Wang Jing for a shadow jade. Why don't you rob it? The old man was furious. Then you go to buy 100,000. Don't stop me, I have to continue to work. Wuliang Mountain Front Limitless. The man sneered, ignored the old man and went on. Damn it, give me one. Knowing that he was slaughtered, the old man finally paid 100,000 immortal Wang Jing, and the man immediately accepted the immortal Wang Jing with a smile. Smile fart, you such damaged goods, deserve to be under the corpse curse. The old man took the photo jade. He was very upset and scolded. The man seemed to be used to being scolded and not angry. He took the money and went straight away, blowing and beating all the way to the depths of the purple sky. Looking at their backs, people suspected that the curse of this guy was fake and deliberately came out to cheat money. However, the photo jade is true. People repeatedly see that it is indeed Imputa who was slapped with a shovel. When Imputa was beaten, the world king Shenhui and the halo of faith appeared. It is impossible to pretend to be. Seeing people whispering around the photo of the old man, Guoran can't help but sigh. The art of pretending to be forced, I still miss him Onyen. Maybe only the boss can crush him. I'm not interested. Long Chen turned his eyes. Puff puff. All of a sudden, the blood and rain in the distance startled the sky. The sound of blowing and beating seemed to be cut off by a knife. Long Chen and others were surprised to see that group of people were killed. At the same time, Long Chen and others also exclaimed in surprise, and their faces showed a look of disbelief. Ji Wuing, www. Novelhold.com, the fastest update of the web novel. Chapter 3692 Long Chen, Xia Chen and Guoran are surprised to see Ji Wuing in the distance. Some of them can't believe their eyes. Ji Wuing is still alive. No, he's not Ji Wuing. He has the supreme bone in both hands. Guoran first found out that it was wrong, because he also had the supreme bone, and he noticed the difference at the first time. Ji Wuing killed those who blow and beat, but no one can see how he did it. As soon as he appeared, those people burst into pieces without any sign. Countless people looked at him in horror. Then, everyone exclaimed, because they saw a fat figure, it was the head of the blood-killing hall Imputa. Behind Imputa, there are hundreds of masked strong men with black robes, all of whom are killers of blood-killing hall. At this time, people finally understood why these people died, and their feelings of Imputa had arrived, and they were clearly beating her in the face. The appearance of Imputa caused a great sensation. Countless people looked at this powerful man, and their hearts were dark. Imputa's fame was too big. Not only the younger generation is afraid, but even the older generation is also frightened. This is an extremely dangerous person. Although the cultivation of Imputa is only the later period of the Kingdom King, it is known that his strength can even crush most of the powerful gods. As soon as Imputa appeared, it attracted the eyes of countless powerful people. However, most people only dare to watch from afar, and dare not approach. Imputa had no mood swings about the death of these people. It seemed that the actions of these people could not infuriate him at all. Little brother Longchen, what a coincidence that you came so early. At a glance, Imputa saw the dragon dust in the distance. He even put a smile on his fat face. The tone was like seeing an old friend he hadn't seen for many years. He warmly said hello and said words, but he came to Longchen like that. It's really a coincidence. I admire you more and more. This should be Ji Wuing's twin brother. Ji Wuing is dead, and the supreme bone is transferred to his hand. If I am not mistaken, he now controls time and space with one hand, which is amazing. Dragon Dust looks at that man way. Haha, Brother Longchen is really good at seeing through the details of the apprentice at a glance. I admire you more and more. Wu Ming, I haven't seen the director Longchen. You know, your hands are supreme, but you can rely on him to complete it. Otherwise, I don't know when to wait. I'm sure I won't catch up with the opening of the 3,000 worlds. Imputa laughed and said to Ji Wuming, I have no life in my lower Ji. Thank you very much for Longchen. In order to repay you, I will take down your head with my own hands. Ji Wuming holds his fist slightly and looks at the corner of Dragon Dust's mouth with a smile. Guoran and Xia Chen's faces suddenly became gloomy, but Long Chen's looks were indifferent. Everyone was originally the enemy. If they didn't, they would have done it. If they did, they would see life and death. Of course, there was no need to be polite between words. Well, I can only wish you good luck. In the same words, I welcome any kind of challenge. As long as you dare to use your life as a chip, I will always come. Dragon Dust Light Tunnel. For Ji Wuming, Long Chen has a feeling that although he is young, he has been polished by Imputa for a long time, and his mind is deep and cannot be underestimated. He looks arrogant and frivolous on the surface, but Long Chen's intuition tells him that he is deliberately paralyzing him. With Imputa's character, the disciples he trained himself must be as tolerant as him. However, no matter how he pretends, it doesn't make any sense to Long Chen. Or that sentence, in front of absolute power, any plot is pulling. Mr. Long Chen, I really admire you. I once secretly checked your movement track, predicted your route many times, and set traps waiting for you, but all of them were empty. I always thought that your ultimate goal was to place some Lingxiao Academy ruins in Xianshan. Unexpectedly, your target was Juyo Island. Imputa looks at the Dragon Dust Road. To tell you the truth, the first purpose of my coming to Xianshan is Juyo Island, and the second goal is your Tian River Valley. However, I underestimated the details of you bullies. Our three brothers were almost ruined by Liaobansong in Juyo Island. If we hadn't detonated that strange mirror, we three brothers would have died. This time, luck accounted for most of them. However, this indirectly proves that you big swindlers have been abandoned by the law of heaven, and God doesn't want to help you. Long Chen smiles slightly, Light Tunnel. On the surface, Long Chen was silent, but he was surprised because he found that when Imputa spoke, a subtle sense of crisis enveloped Long Chen. Long Chen suddenly felt bad. It was estimated that Imputa was aware of something. He might have started to doubt the identity of Long Chen because he broke the star-peeping mirror. Although Dragon Dust Divine Ring and Star Map are all covered up according to the 7-Ju Xianyang Gong and Xinghe Sky rhyme, and his breath is not the same as other 9-star descendants, but after all, there are still some similarities. This time, Long Chen went straight to the theme and broke the star-peeping mirror. It was normal for the suspicious Imputa to be suspicious. When Long Chen said these words, he looked into the eyes of Imputa, because what Long Chen said was really true. He had two goals when he came here. One was to smash the star-peeping mirror, and the other was to destroy the Juyo Temple in Tianhe River Valley. Because the Juyo Temple in Tianhe Valley is the most important base of Imputa besides the headquarters of Juyo Hall. If this base is broken and his altar of belief is destroyed, Imputa will have to break his muscles and bones. However, although Long Chen has tried his best to overestimate the strength of Liaobansong, he still did not expect that Liaobansong, with the power of faith, was so terrible that he almost lost his life. Naturally, he would not die. That's a pity. If only you could come to Tianhe Valley first. After all, I'm not Liaoban Kang's idiot. If you come to Tianhe Valley, you are doomed to die. Imputa also looked sorry. It's no pity. Even if I go to Tianhe Valley first, I won't go to Juyo Hall like I would. It'll do a lot of preparation. Although you are so cunning as you are, my brain is not in vain. To be honest, I really hope to have a chance to compete with you in terms of wisdom. Long Chen is very confident. Long Chen has always been conceited, especially in terms of wisdom and calculation. However, after the extinction of Tianwu, he was not interested in using the so-called wisdom, because he wanted to solve everything with wisdom, which would inevitably delay his practice. However, when he met someone like Imputa who was good at calculation and had suffered great losses for several times, he was somewhat unconvinced. He wanted to calculate back to Imputa and tell him with his strength that I am not inferior to you in terms of wisdom. Imputa sighed, Unfortunately, if you come to Tianhe Valley first, maybe there is still room for turning things around. Even if I catch you, I still hope that you can obey the Lord Brahman. It's a pity that you went to Juyo Island first and broke up the star-peeping telescope. There is no room for turning things around. It's all due to Liaobansong, an idiot. He can't get rid of his temper, push his responsibilities, and he doesn't have any bullshit skills, so he can make things out of control. Fuck you, Empta, you bastard who only speaks ill of people behind your back. Let's have a fair fight. At this time, a roar came, Guoran and Xiachen were scared, this voice they will never forget. www.novelhold.com, the fastest update of the web novel. Chapter 3693, You fat, chewy mouth, why don't you die? With a roar, Liao Bensong stepped into the air. Behind him, there were a group of killers wearing black clothes and steel masks. It seems that there are thousands of people, 10 times more than that of Empta. Liao Bensong came running and saw the 3 dragon dust men at a glance. His eyes burst out with fire, and the lotus flower appeared behind his back. He patted them with one hand. Little beast, die for me. Boom. Liao Bensong covered the sky with his hand, and his fingerprints were broken to pieces. He wanted to suppress the 3 people of Longchen. Before the fingerprints arrived, the vast power of faith was like the collapse of the universe. People who saw this scene felt breathless and looked frightened. As soon as Liao Bensong appeared, people had no time to be shocked, so he took action against the 3 people of Longchen. Boom! Suddenly, a finger wind pops out of the boat behind Longchen. The big hand covering the sky just reaches the top of Longchen's head and is smashed by the wind. What? People are shocked. We should know that Liao Bensong is as famous as Imputa. He is one of the most terrifying killers in the world. Who is this man who broke his attack with just a wind? Liao Benkang's face changed. At this time, he saw a man appear. As soon as the man appeared, the imperial power radiated. When people saw him, they could hardly believe their eyes. Xia Guhong, the king of the great Xia dynasty. Someone called out this name with trembling voice. Xia Guhong's name is the symbol of an era. He was the king of that era, who was the king of heaven and earth, and was only himself. The king of the eternal Xia dynasty, the descendant of the congenital chaos artifact de Xia Longke, is so famous that no one can imitate his inherent imperial spirit. He is the unique existence among the 9 days and 10 places. Although Daxia has disappeared, people can't forget the last king of Daxia, who was brilliant and gorgeous, led the whole era, but was finally trapped in love, which made people sigh. But anyway, in his time, he was the king and no one could match him. He rose like a comet, lighting up the world, although suddenly disappeared, but that light amazing a whole era, until now, no one has forgotten him. So when Xia Guhong appeared, he looked down on the 9 days of Emperor's gas, suddenly made countless people recognize his identity. In particular, Xia Guhong pointed out the wind, which broke the power of faith of Liao Bensong, the head of Joyo Hall, and made countless people in full bloom. He once again saw the extraordinary demeanor of the powerful man in the legend. You really deserve to be the king of the great Xia dynasty. The breath of the dragon sparrow is always in your body. It does not dissipate, which means that the dragon sparrow has not fallen. Maybe this is also the blessing of the human race. Imputa looked at Xia Guhong and said politely. Even Imputa, who is famous all over the world, doesn't pay attention to anyone, but he has to bow down to salute in the face of Xia Guhong. Liao Bensong was arrogant and domineering, like a tiger descending the mountain, but in front of Xia Guhong's imperial spirit, he seemed a little out of fashion. At this time, he was frightened and angry, but he did not dare to fight with Xia Guhong. Xia Guhong took a look at Imputa and said, "The happiness of the human race has nothing to do with the dragon sparrow in the summer. Happiness and misfortune are just the fruits of planting melons and the seeds of beans. I came to Xiantiandu this time for my 3 brothers. If I fight at the same level, I will not intervene. But some people don't want to be shameless, so I have to move my rusty body." Seeing countless people looking at Xia Guhong in shock, even the strong people of the older generation are full of reverence, and Xia Chen and Guoran feel proud. Xia Guhong called them brothers at this time. They felt that they were going to fly to the sky. They were called brothers by Xia Guhong in public. Their pride was beyond description. Guoran was so excited that he hardly knew what posture to take. Even if your body is rusty, it is not something that some skinny monkeys can insult. If you fight with you, you will only insult yourself. Emta said with a smile. Emta, fart your mother. Are you trying to stir up the fat man who is full of bad excrement and inflates himself alive? Liao Ben-song was furious and pointed to Emputa and scolded. Liao Ben-kang's scolding made countless people look at each other. Is this really the master of Joyo Hall, which is famous all over the world? Is the killer so grumpy? Although Liao Ben-song has a hot temper, he is not a fool. When Emputa said this, he was clearly deliberately running on him to let him fight Xia Guhong. However, Liao Ben-song has self-knowledge. He is just a separate body. He can't be Xia Guhong's opponent at all. If he does, he will really insult himself. Obviously, Emputa knew Xia Guhong was in the boat for a long time, but he didn't remind him and deliberately humiliated him. Liao Ben-song was more and more angry. Hiss! All of a sudden, Liao Ben-chang's long sword came out of its sheath, and in the eyes of countless people who couldn't believe it, Liao Ben-song chopped his sword at Emputa. However, Emputa had been prepared to avoid the sword, and he took people back for a distance. He was too lazy to take care of Liao Ben-kang's mad dog. Juyo Island was selected by Longchen. After using all the power of Juyo Island's beliefs, he let 3 younger generations run away. If I were you, I would have been killed without being punished by Lord Brahmin. Emputa didn't do it, but his mouth was not idle. Last time he caught Long Chen and cooperated with Liao Ben-song, he was very angry. Now they have completely torn their faces. He is not a saint. If he doesn't hurt Liao Ben-song, how can he be worthy of himself? No life. Remember, the killer is to keep calm all the time. Don't learn from Liao Dian Master. Emputa said to Ji Wuming. In fact, you don't need to be reminded by your master. After all, such a genius as Lord Liao is hard to find in the sky and on the earth. It's unprecedented and there is no future. Even if students want to learn, they are powerless. Ji had no life to shake her head. The 2 teachers and apprentices, singing one song and one another, swearing without swearing words, but Liao Ben-song was totally worthless, and his 7 orifices were fuming with anger. Shut up, or I will kill you in 3,000 worlds. The Lord forbids us to kill each other, but don't force me. The woman standing beside Liao Ben-song opened her mouth. When she opened her mouth, everyone was startled. Her pronunciation was very strange. It was not like a human voice at all. It made people feel cold in the bones. Every word seemed to have the power to attract souls and kill people, which made people feel scared. Who is he? Guoran couldn't help but whisper to the dragon dust. I am Joyo Luocha. Remember my name, because the owner of this name will kill you all. Joyo Luocha looks at the dragon dust, with a cold and sharp light shining in his eyes, and the corners of his mouth hook up a vicious arc www. Novelhold. Com, the fastest update of the web novel. Chapter 3694. At this time, the breath of Joyo Luocha has undergone earth-shaking changes with the past. Its breath is colder, without any emotion. Especially in her eyes, there are blood spots in the center of her pupils. When the spots are watching, people feel that the soul will be stripped. Last time Longchen met Joyo Luocha, she was still a person, but today, I feel that it can't feel the breath of human except the shape of human. At this time, she is a human being. She is full of dark killing breath, which makes people feel uneasy. At this time, she seems to be completely changed. That's what you said last time. Then I beat you into a dog. If they hadn't saved you, you would have died. Long Chen skimmed his mouth. Shut up. At that time, I didn't wake up to the blood of the Shura. I wasn't a real Shura family. But now it's not the same. I have awakened to the supreme bone. My blood has changed completely. I'm no longer a humble human being, and you will die in my hands. Joyo Luocha has a very dark face. It's funny that you are a Terran. Even if you awaken the blood of Shura, you are still a Terran. Now even began to forget the original. Are you a beast? Sure enough, what kind of master and apprentice you teach, you are as stupid as your master. Your master is far away from Emputa, and you are even worse than Ji Wuming. Long Chen shakes his head, a face of disdain. Fart, what kind of thing can he compare with my great Shura family? If he dares to be wild in 3,000 worlds, I will kill him as well. Juyo Luocha takes a look at Ji Wuming, and a look of sarcasm emerges from the corners of his mouth. Ji Wuming's eyes narrowed. Obviously, Juyo Luocha's tone made him very unhappy. He was about to speak, but he was interrupted by Imputa. When the 3,000 worlds are opened, there are countless monsters, and the supreme ones run rampant. This is the time when all of you show their powers. If you say cruel words now, you will only insult yourself. Don't be beaten up by other Tianjiao, and you will be embarrassed. In a word, it's meaningless to quarrel here. On the contrary, it's better to see the real chapter in the world of 3,000. Imputa said and looked at Longchen. Brother Longchen, maybe this is the last time I can talk to you well. To tell you the truth, I really appreciate you. You are brave and courageous. Most importantly, you have a firm belief. Once you have set a goal, you will go all out. You will not waver your determination because of any difficulties. I know that I can't recruit you, so I've always wanted to introduce you to Brahma. Maybe only Brahman is qualified to enlighten you. It's a pity that nature makes people. You have committed a great taboo. Even the Brahmin god will not forgive you. So, next time I meet, I will try my best to kill you. I am called a despicable murderer. This name is not for nothing. To everyone's surprise, Imputa actually said these words to Long Chen, which implied that he was sympathetic to each other, which was somewhat incomprehensible. Thank you very much for reminding me that since nature makes people miserable, we can only let fate dictate. We have to fight with each other in different positions. Many of the reasons do not make sense. In the end, we have to fight against each other. To put it bluntly, in this world respected by the strong, whoever has a big fist is the truth. Although I am young, I have fought countless battles, and you are one of the most feared enemies in my life. Although I hate you, I still admire you in some places. Don't say much. See you on the battlefield in the future. In 3,000 worlds, I'll kill your apprentice first, and then I'll settle the grudges between you and me. Dragon Dust Road. Although he hated Imputa very much, he had to say that he was a very difficult opponent with high intelligence and vicious means. He almost killed him several times. This is a qualified opponent. In terms of insidiousness, he can be ranked first. In 3,000 worlds, only you will die. Juyo Luocha and Ji Wuming said in one voice. After that, they both looked at each other coldly. The two young top killers in their eyes had a sneak attack. The two of them, in fact, are also the enemies of fate. One is the top strongman of the blood-killing hall, and the other is the future hope of Juyo Hall. There will be a big war between them. However, they can divide the high and the low, but they cannot divide the life and death. No matter how much hatred there is between their masters, no matter how much hatred there is between them, they are the disciples of the great Brahman. They can never kill each other. Because of this, neither of them dare to really kill each other, but they especially want to defeat each other and make a bad breath. Imputa didn't say anything, just a little smile and left with his disciples. Seeing Imputa leave, Liao Bensong puts down some cruel words and leaves. Juyo Luocha's eyes look at Long Chen, and he is eager to try. He seems unwilling to go like this, but he is taken away by Liao Bensong. You have to be careful of that fat man. He is thoughtful and deep and terrible. Xia Guhong looked at the back of Imputa's departure. Don't worry, brother. I won't be careless. Dragon Dust nodded. However, although Long Chen said so, he was helpless. His biggest weakness was the lack of time. If there is plenty of time, it will be a conspiracy. Who am I afraid of? The point is that he doesn't have so much time to play tricks and lay traps. He wants to devote all his limited time to practice. If he doesn't have time to play moves with him, he will inevitably delay his practice. It is not cost-effective to calculate. Therefore, even if the old man's statement is in the fairyland, it is still true. Besides, you should be careful of that woman. Xia Guhong rode. Oh, I don't think she's as strong as Ji. Dragon Dust slightly a long way. Strong words, it is not necessarily, but she has awakened the blood of the Shura. In addition to summoning Luochifu, you should be careful. If you force her, she may perform the art of channeling. Xia Guhong rode. What is that? Guoran can't help but ask. It's the first time he has heard of it. Xia Guhong explained, there are tonling beasts in the fairyland. After the contract is concluded, even though it is across the wall of heaven, the spirit beast can be summoned to his side. That woman has not yet been able to perform the psychic skills of the Shura people, but she has the ability to become the queen of the celestial beings and form the crown of heaven. If you don't use psychic skills, you should not be the opponent of Ji Wuming. But once you do, no one knows what kind of existence she will summon out of the Shura world. The psychic skills of the Shura clan summon not a contract beast, but a random call. The contract beast that is summoned is of the same rank as her, but its strength is no less than that of her, or even higher. So strong, Guoran, summer morning a burst of tongue, can summon stronger than their own psychic beast, that joint hands, who can be her opponent? www.novelhold.com, the fastest update of the web novel. Chapter 3695. This is not the most terrifying. This woman's character is not like a killer at all. She is not calm at all. I'm afraid that you will force her to die together with you. She may summon a monster several times stronger than her. When I was young, I met the strong one of Shura. He used the call of death. That man was far from my opponent, but his desperate call almost killed me. Although the call of death is for the user to sacrifice his Shou Yuan as energy to summon a powerful contract beast. After using it, people are basically useless and can't use it easily. But that woman, I don't know the height of heaven and earth, has the same virtue with her master. I guess if she is forced to hurry up, she can do anything. So I'd like to remind you that if you have to, don't force her too hard. If you want to kill her, you'd better use a big move directly and don't give her a chance to use the call of death. Facing the shock of Guoran and others, Xia Guhong looks serious. Long Chen's 3 people are crazy. Even Xia Guhong, who is famous all over the world, has suffered a great loss in Zhu Ming's call. They can't believe it. Are the Shu Ras really so strong? Guoran couldn't help saying. The Shura people live by killing. Everyone is a natural warrior. In the Shura world, not only the Shura are like this, but also the gods and beasts there. And the contractual beasts they cultivate are the elites among the elite, and the strength gap of these contract beasts is also huge. No one knows what kind of existence will be called out. When I fought against the strong one of the Shura clan, I was very unlucky. The giant beast that the man summoned before his death was a kind of wild animal. He could almost kill the strong one of the Shura people with his hand. However, such an existence was called out by him. So, there's no reason to call for the death. However, if you are lucky, she may not be able to summon any terrible monsters, but you should be careful. Xia Guhong admonished. When it comes to luck, Long Chen's face is somewhat unnatural. Guoran and Xia Chen also look at Long Chen. They all know that Long Chen has always had bad luck. Boss, I think you'd better stay away from that woman. It's enough for us to deal with her. Summer Morning Road. According to Long Chen's bad luck, it is uncertain what kind of monsters will be summoned by Jiuyo Luocha. It makes people feel cold when they think about it. Dang ding, bang bang. At this time, a familiar voice came from the distance, and then someone yelled, Wuliang Palace in front of Wuliang Mountain, Wuliang outside Wuliang Gate. Tianjiao has no way to pursue his dream, and once he meets Mo Nian, he will become empty. Dragon Dust 3 people listen, can't help but be stunned. These guys are not killed? Why did you come out again? Is it resurrected? According to the reputation, they found that this group of people is not the previous group, but Long Chen saw the curse on them from a long distance. Obviously, this group of people was also made by Mo Nian. But how can the people of Jiuyo Temple follow you? Guoran found that the group of people around, even with the Jiuyo Hall killer. Long Chen was speechless for a while. This Liao Ben song is really not on the table. When Long Chen said this, Xia Chen and Guoran could not help but realize that Liao Ben song must have discovered this group of people. Seeing that they could humiliate Imputa, he protected them and deliberately angry Imputa. He can't fight against Imputa in wisdom. Now he has the opportunity to disgust Imputa. Naturally, he will not let go of it. He orders these people to shout and attract other people's attention. This Liao Ben song is really eye-opening. Even Xia Guhong shakes his head. Such a wonderful flower, he has lived endless years, but only see one, not the other. Mo Nian is going to be famous all over the world. It's really enviable. Guoran looked at the group of people beating. For Mo Nian in the propaganda, Guoran eyes are full of envy. This group of people can see from their faces that they are not good people. Mo Nian can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Summer Morning laughs. Don't worry. I'm sure we'll see this sack in 3,000 worlds. Long Chen also followed with a smile, thinking that he could see Mo Nian again. Long Chen was filled with expectation. If it wasn't for Mo Nian last time, Long Chen would have been caught by Imputa. At that time, Long Chen was still worried about Mo Nian. Now, his worry is superfluous. I'm afraid Mo Nian's achievements will not be inferior to him. Boss, someone has built a tall building over there. It looks like a restaurant. Let's go and have a look. Guoran pointed to the road in the distance. According to Guoran's direction, there was a high-rise building. Strangely enough, there was no high-rise building just now, but it appeared in a flash. When Long Chen and others came to the high-rise building, people around had already set up a market on the ruins. Long Chen even saw the plaque of Huayan business. I went. Sure enough, businessmen have the most sensitive sense of smell, and they thought of business opportunities at the first time. Summer Morning can't help but exclaim. This is the entrance of the 3,000 world. Now the entrance has not yet appeared. There will be a large number of powerful people from all ethnic groups to enter here. Doing business here, the flow of people is quite amazing. Moreover, not everyone is well prepared for the opening of the 3,000 world. Many people come in a hurry and need to buy something to protect their lives. At this time, some things will become very popular. Boss, it's too late to start now. Let's grab a place. Maybe we can change something good. Gua ran some excited tunnel. Summer Morning is also the case. 2 people can sell some things in exchange for some useful for their own baby, may have unexpected harvest. Will you go? I'll accompany my elder brother upstairs to have a drink. Long Chen Dao, it's enough to set up a stall for them. In fact, Long Chen also wants to visit, but it's a bit rude to let Xia Guhong stay here alone. Sea Dragon Dust agree. Summer Morning and Guoran immediately ran out, looking for a position to begin to arrange. All the good places are occupied by the major commercial banks. Although the places that Xia Chen and Guoran look for are not particularly conspicuous, they are also good. I believe that more and more people will set up stalls in a short time. Their position will also be the central area. Guoran took out some weapons and concealed weapons he had made, as well as some minerals and crystal cores unique to the magic Luo Star region. In order to attract business, Xiaoqin's Fuzhuan is blooming. From tens of thousands of miles, you can see it at a glance. It's very eye-catching. It seems that the 2 of us can't go far away. I'm afraid these 2 guys will be robbed if they set up their stalls so arrogantly. Looking at Xiaoqin's stall, Xia Guhong said with a smile that there are a lot of talismans here, which are of great value. It is estimated that they will attract many people in a short time. If someone grabs it, it's better. Then I have a reason to rob them openly. Dragon Dust haha smile way, he poor is some expectation. When they arrived at the gate of the high-rise building, they were immediately welcomed by a beautiful maid. This is a restaurant. The owner is a man with strong divine dignity. It is estimated that only the one with strong divine dignity can suppress such a place. Long Chen and Xia Guhong come to the 3rd floor and choose a window by the side, where you can just see the stalls of Guoran and Xiaoqin. Long Chen ordered several small dishes. Although the dishes were 100 times more expensive than those outside, Long Chen didn't care. When the dishes came up, Long Chen took out the wine and just poured it to Xia Guhong. Suddenly, he found that Xia Guhong had a different complexion. Following Xia Guhong's eyes, he saw a man in a gold robe, a gold crown on his head, a gold belt around his waist, but a scar on his face. The man just came in when he saw Xia Guhong, his eyes suddenly sharp as a knife, full of hostility. www.novelhold.com, the fastest update of the web novel. Chapter 3696, What a Powerful Force of Qi and Blood. Long Chen's heart is awe-inspiring. As soon as the man appears, the huge force of qi and blood is pressed over like a tsunami, which makes people breathless. What shocked Long Chen most was that, like him, he was also a powerful man in the realm of God and king. He looked very young, but his soul fluctuated, which was strange to ordinary people. When Xia Guhong saw this man, his eyes also had a touch of surprise. He obviously knew him, but Long Chen noticed that Xia Guhong's eyes were filled with disgust. Xia Guhong, I didn't expect to see you here. Did you hear that your woman died? You are such a waste that you can't even protect your own women, and you still have the face to live in the world? The man looked at Xia Guhong. His face appeared a look of resentment. When he opened his mouth, all the people around him were attracted by his voice. They all looked at him in shock. How famous was Xia Guhong? He dared to challenge Xia Guhong. And a mouth is to directly uncover Xia Guhong's most painful scar. This guy is want to die? You should know that Xia Guhong is a strong god worshipper. Although his qi and blood are terrible, he is just a god-king state. Xia Guhong can kill him by waving his hand. But this man, with a fearless look, did not seem to be afraid of Xia Guhong. Looking at his bitter eyes, it seemed that the two still had a certain grudge. The mark of the evil dragon, my god? Is he the dragon Qinian who was praised as the first-day pride of the devil? I remember that he had a nickname, Prince Evil Dragon, Long Qinian. At that time, he once pursued Luo Qinging and had a feud with Xia Guhong. He was stabbed by Xia Guhong and hurt by his spirit of Dragon Sparrow. Then he disappeared. People thought he was dead, but they didn't expect that he was still alive. His cultivation and his soul fluctuated. He understood his feelings. After he lost to Xia Guhong, he sealed himself. He didn't wake up until the 3,000 worlds opened today. It is said that he had the supreme blood and had a terrible dragon contract beast. He never met an enemy in his life until Xia Guhong appeared. Someone recognized the identity of Long Qinian and began to whisper. People suddenly realized that he was a contemporary figure with Xia Guhong. Both of them were Luo Qinging suitors, but Long Qinian failed in his pursuit. When he failed in love, he asked Xia Guhong for trouble. As a result, Xia Guhong almost killed him and finally disappeared. Nobody could have imagined that he appeared at this time. In the face of Long Qinian's ridicule, Xia Guhong did not say anything, but quietly picked up a glass of wine and drank it. Long Qinian walked slowly to Xia Guhong's table, looked up and down at Long Chen, and then looked at the wine on the table and sneered. In these years of feelings, have you relied on this thing to anesthetize yourself and survive until now? Qinging is really blind. How could she choose you, a coward? If she chooses me, she will never die. Xia Guhong, you are a waste. Long Chen didn't intend to take care of this dragon Qinian, but his words were too insidious and went too far. Long Chen couldn't help frowning and said, Master Luo Qinging, how could he choose a guy with a mouth full of excrement? You'd better shut your mouth and stay away from me. I'm afraid your shit will spray into my bowl. What are you? Is there anything you can say here? Long Qinian looks at Long Chen and shouts coldly. Seeing that Long Chen is young, he thinks Long Chen is a disciple of Xia Guhong. However, he was the same generation as Xia Guhong. According to the seniority, Long Chen is not qualified to speak. What are you, north and south? My elder brother is too lazy to pay attention to you. Are you blind and can't see? I tell you, my elder brother's self-discipline is high, and he bullies you, so he doesn't care about you. But I don't have such good self-restraint. You don't have a doorkeeper on your ass. Be careful that I'll slap you with my big mouth. Long Chen was not polite. Long Chen knows that Xia Guhong's accomplishments are too much higher than his opponents, so he will have a reputation of deceiving the small with a big hand. In addition, Xia Guhong has studied wine for many years, and has long been indifferent to some secular things. But he is different. The idea of Long Chen is, everyone is a man for the first time. Why should I let you? You make me unhappy, I'll slap you. Haha, just bye. Long Chinian looks up to the sky and laughs. Pa. The laughter was interrupted by the slap of Long Chen. From a strange angle, Long Chen's big hand slapped on Long Chinian's face with a loud bang, which made people's ears buzzing, as if the slap on the face of Long Chen was also on their faces. The body of Long Chinian flies out of the restaurant like a meteor. The roaring strong wind cuts through the void and brings out ripples, slamming into a building wreckage tens of thousands of miles away. Boom! There was an explosion, and the earth suddenly trembled for several times. People in the distance were at a loss and were shocked. This move, like an antelope hanging horn without trace, is intended to read first, move to care about the first. This is an extraordinary strike. Great. With a slap from Long Chen, Long Chinian's movements were smooth and natural. Even Xia Guhong was moved by it. This was an unavoidable blow. Even he didn't know how Long Chen did it. Dragon dust stall hands, some helpless way, know him, only hand familiar ears, too many idiots, helpless. Even he has forgotten when this move began to exert its power. He also forgot when this move began to hit 100 hits. Anyway, in a certain range, no matter what level of strong you are, to this range, no one can escape this slap. However, this move is not a killing move. Even if it is against the weak, it cannot kill the other party, because once people can be killed, the other party will have a sense of danger. Although it's not a killing move, it doesn't do much harm to the body, but it's very powerful to destroy the spirit, especially those who are extremely conceited. The move of dragon dust is specially created for those strong people who are forced and coaxed by cattle. No matter how powerful a person is, if he is slapped in the face, he will be disgraced. This is much more harmful than cutting them and stabbing them. This is a beautiful move. I'll give you one. Xia Guhong said with a smile that although at this time he was in a calm state of mind, and there were not many things that could make him angry, but the slap of dragon dust still made him feel very comfortable. Long Chen laughs and drinks with Xia Guhong. Son of a bitch, give me a fight. The empty space explodes, and the Long Chinian, who has been taken away, roars. The sound shakes the sky. There are echoes between heaven and earth, attracting countless people's eyes. A man with a mouth full of excrement, I dare not fight with you. My clothes are very precious. I can't get any shit. I'm afraid of you. Long Chen responded lazily. This man is very strong, but Long Chen is not afraid, but Long Chen doesn't want to fight with one of them here, especially when there are so many strong enemies looking around. It is not cost-effective to expose the cards. Dragon dust, are you here too? All of a sudden, a voice like a warbler came from the valley. All of a sudden, the voice was full of surprise. When Long Chen heard the voice, he was elated. He went along with his reputation and saw the beautiful image of Yu Qingxian. www.novelhold.com, the fastest update of the web novel. Chapter 3697, Qingxian am here. Seeing Yu Qingxian, Long Chen stood by the window, waving his hands and exclaimed excitedly. Today's Yu Qingxian wears a bun. The bun is not high, but looks like a butterfly. The rest of her long hair falls down on her waist. She is wearing a spotless white dress and skirt, just like a 9-day fairy who doesn't eat fireworks among people. When she saw the dragon dust, her beautiful eyes brightened, and she waved with Long Chen happily. The corners of her mouth curved in a beautiful arc. Her smile was like a pear blossom spitting pistol. Long Chen originally wanted to let Yu Qingxian come up, but seeing that there were hundreds of people behind Yu Qingxian, Long Chen suddenly became hesitant. The main reason is that although the restaurant is high, it is not wide. If all the people come up, it will be too crowded, and it will be a bit embarrassing if there are so many people on the first floor. Go ahead. I'm drinking here. I'm clean. By the way, I'll settle the bill first. I don't have any money. Xia Guhong understood Long Chen's mind and said with a smile. That big brother, you drink first, then we two brothers drink later. With a smile, Long Chen settled the account and ran out to Yu Qingxian. The last time we parted from the Sky Fire world, Qingxian Fairy still had the same luster, more beautiful than before. Her temperament and talent improved by leaps and bounds, and her accomplishments and beauty increased with each passing day. It's really gratifying. Long Chen saw a beautiful woman again, full of tenderness in his heart, and said with a smile. Long Chen's words make Yu Qingxian giggle. Long Chen exaggerates. Although he knows that Long Chen is deliberately teasing her, Yu Qingxian still can't help laughing. President Long Chen is so frivolous that he is not afraid to be ridiculed. Yu Qingxian covers her lips and smiles like a flower. To tell the truth, if someone dares to laugh, he will be slapped with big mouth. Of course, you don't count. Cough, you don't count. When Long Chen finished, he found that Yu Qingxian was laughing all the time and rushed to the road. Long Chen's bewildered appearance makes Yu Qingxian smile again. The disciples behind Yu Qingxian are stunned by Yu Qingxian's smiling face. They have never seen Yu Qingxian so happy. You know, Yu Qingxian is usually dignified and generous, gentle and quiet. Although he is not serious, he still talks to people with a sense of seriousness. Now Yu Qingxian's happy appearance makes them very surprised. Dragon Dust, you have the seed to fight. Standing on the void, Long Qinian saw Long Chen come out and yelled loudly. He finally knew the name of Long Chen and called out his name. What's the situation? Are you in trouble again? Yu Qingxian looks at Long Qinian with a twisted face and looks at Long Chen Road in doubt. She hears the voice of Long Chen as soon as she comes. She doesn't know what happened. What's the meaning of again? It's this guy who has a dirty mouth and is rude to big brother Xia Guhong. I have a big mouth. I can't help it. Long Chen spread his hands, a face helpless tunnel. Is Xia Guhong here? I didn't know it was him before. It's very rude. Take me to see Xia Guhong. I'm sorry. Yu Qingxian was in a hurry. The last time she went to the Dionysian Palace with Long Chen, she had a photo with Xia Guhong. Later, she learned that this powerful man with imperial spirit was the famous king of the great Xia. Her heart was full of shock and admiration. Although the story between Xia Guhong and Luo Qingying is a pity, Xia Guhong, in order to avenge Luo Qingying, kills all the demons alone, which is admired by countless people. Especially for women, many people dream that there is a person who really loves her, who can be as infatuated and devoted as Xia Guhong. Therefore, when Yu Qingxian knew Xia Guhong's identity, she knew that he was the idol that she had always admired. I'm sorry. That's my elder brother. Don't call me from the elder in the future, or the hierarchy will be disordered. Long Chen laughs. When Long Chen said this, Yu Qingxian's pretty face turned a little red. Long Chen's words were quite explicit. Especially in front of so many people, she gave him a look of anger. Princess Highness, who is this person? So frivolous, princess, you should pay attention to your identity. Just then, an old man behind Yu Qingxian said coldly, Dragon Dust, your royal highness? How did Yu Qingxian become her royal highness? Long Chen looked at the man, and noticed that this was a strong man of the half-step god. He was wearing a long robe with a jade belt on his waist. There was also a sign on it with a phoenix-shaped pattern on it. The man looked about 40, and his face was white and unnecessary, which gave people a very gloomy feeling. Especially other voices, they were very uncomfortable, sharp and thin, and some of them had a strange feeling of yin and yang. Moreover, this person sees a person chin to lift slightly, have a kind of Togao Qigao, superior feeling. Long Chen was stunned at first. Suddenly, a look of disbelief appeared in his eyes. He turned out to be a eunuch. This is a soft and feminine spirit. Long Chen would never admit that he was wrong. Unexpectedly, there were eunuchs in the fairyland. Oh, Duke Wei, let me introduce you to you. This is my good friend Long Chen. He is the youngest dean in the history of Lingxiao College. He saved my life in the world of Skyfire, which can be said to be my savior. Yu Qingxian seems to be a little afraid of this Duke Wei, and hastily introduces him to Long Chen. Long Chen hated this guy who was full of feminine spirit and had a strange voice. However, due to Yu Qingxian's face, he had to nod to the Duke Wei. The Duke Wei didn't show any return. Instead, he looked up and down at Long Chen and said coldly, I don't care who you are, but I hope you can know that Qingxian is the palace master of the Zhuge Empire. He has a noble blood of 9 li and is not accessible to anyone. We do not restrict the palace master's right to choose friends, but please be more restrained in your words and deeds, and always maintain the majesty of the Rosefinch Empire. Duke Wei's tone was very impolite. It was clearly that he was reprimanding Long Chen. Long Chen's face was a little ugly. He had never been so angry in his life. Damn it, you dead eunuch, dare to be arrogant in front of Laozi? Look at his high-spirited appearance, dragon dust truth a big mouth son draw past. Let this idiot know, dragon third master has temper. However, after beating the dead eunuch, Long Chen is afraid that Yu Qingchuan's face is not good-looking. For Yu Qingxian, Long Chen is full of guilt, and he vowed to make good compensation for him and not to let her suffer any harm. However, the guy with no hair in his mouth made Long Chen's heart burn up, and there was a trend that he could not hold back. Long Chen, I'm sorry. This Duke Wei was sent by his father. I can't help it. You can bear it first. When you enter the 3000 world, you don't have to pay attention to him. Seeing that Long Chen's face was gloomy, Yu Qingxian spoke to him in a hurry. She also hated this Duke Wei, but she had no way. Her father's life was hard to do. She could only bear it. She also understood the temper of Long Chen. When Long Chen was young, he took the position of the head of Lingshao Academy. He swept all kinds of Tianjiao in the world of Tianhua and killed the powerful enemies in all areas. What kind of tyranny is it? Now seeing him reprimanded, Yu Qingxian is very sorry, but there is nothing to do, so she can't stop apologizing to Long Chen. Dragon Dust, are you dumb? Boom, Long Qinian challenged Long Chen twice. Long Chen took him as heir, and he still talked to Yu Qingxian and Duke Wei without paying any attention to him. Long Qinian was so angry that his hair stood on end. All of a sudden, a long spear was in hand. The spear pierced the void and went straight to the dragon dust to kill him. The sound of dragon chanting was loud, and the killing intention was so fierce that everyone was startled. "They'll go. It's very kind of you to come." Seeing that Long Qinian suddenly made a move, Long Chen was ecstatic and secretly took a look at the arrogant Duke Wei. Damn it, he found a chance. www.novelhold.com, the fastest update of the web novel. Chapter 3698. What kind of thing do you dare to dance with a knife and a gun in front of my dragon dust, and watch me snatch a blade with my bare hands? Seeing Long Qinian stab, the dragon dust's 5-finger dustpan zhong, so he grabbed at the spear. Long Qinian was furious, and Long Chen couldn't even show his weapons. He was also an outstanding expert and defeated countless heroes. Long Chen was so contemptuous of him that he suddenly burst into anger. Boom! The dragon pattern lights up on the spear. At the moment when the dragon pattern lights up, the sound of dragon chanting is loud in the sky and the fierce dragon power radiates. Long Chen was surprised. He had the power of dragon blood, which he didn't expect. I dare to show you how to make a fool of me. Look at my invincible dragon claw hand, alas. With a big twist, Long Chen took hold of the spear in an arrogant and handsome posture, but deliberately reeled and exclaimed, "My waist, it's a pity." Long Chen's stagger just avoided Long Qinian's spear. Long Qinian stabbed Long Chen's body and stabbed him. The huge force could not be stopped. He went straight to Duke Wei behind Long Chen. Duke Wei was looking at Long Chen coldly. Suddenly, a long gun stabbed him in the chest. Duke Wei's face changed greatly. Everything came too quickly and suddenly. Duke Wei, be careful. Long Chen also pretended to scream to remind him that he was actually happy to bloom in his heart. Duke Wei couldn't resist it. In his busy schedule, his hands appeared and roared. He closed his hands and held the gun head in his palm. Boom! But Duke Wei's resistance only slowed down the speed of the spear. Finally, it stabbed him in front of him. With a loud noise, a large spider web-like crack appeared in the space behind him. What a strange power of Yin and softness. Long Chen was surprised. The Duke of Wei transferred most of the power of this attack to the void behind him. He only took on a small part of the power. In a hurry, there is no preparation to achieve this. Duke Wei is very powerful. Today, he is out of sight. Long Chen thinks he underestimates this Duke Wei. Poof! Although the blow was blocked, Duke Wei finally burst out with blood, and Long Chinian took the opportunity to take back his spear. He was so surprised and angry that he stabbed the wrong man. He was lost. He was about to speak, but Duke Wei pointed at him and swore, "You little prince, you dare to assassinate my father-in-law. Do you know who I am, is it?" Long Chinian was furious when he was scolded by Duke Wei. However, when he saw the jade plate on the back of Duke Wei, his face changed slightly and he clearly recognized the origin of the jade plate. Long Chinian didn't look at Duke Wei, but pointed to Long Chen and said, "Ignorant young man, today I will give this father-in-law a face. Next time I meet, I will take your head on your neck." After Long Chinian finished, he turned to leave, and did not give Long Chen the chance to speak and Duke Wei's name. Duke Wei is powerful. This move is so handsome. I admire it. Haha, I admire it. Long Chen clasped his fist and looked serious. However, seeing the embarrassed appearance of Duke Wei, he finally failed to resist and laughed. "Boy, you mean it?" Duke Wei's face was livid with anger in his eyes. "Duke Wei, Long Chen is not that kind of person. Are you hurt?" Yu Qingxian quickly stood out to rescue Long Chen. "I'm fine. Thank you, Your Highness." Puff. As a result, the words did not finish, but a mouthful of blood spurted out. "Although my father-in-law was only slightly injured, I'd better cultivate myself. Now there are not many people here. In 2 days, when all kinds of elites come, I still hope you can protect me." Yu Qingxian is concerned about the tunnel and then takes out a pill. "Thank you very much, Your Highness. I'm going to cure you now. You should be more careful." Duke Wei took over Yu Qingxian's pills with great reluctance. After all, Long Chinian had the courage to challenge Xia Guhong. His strike was not so easy to block. He suffered a lot from that blow. He had to find a place to heal his wounds in order to recover quickly. "Don't worry, Mr. Wei. You'll be careful," Yu Qingxian said. "In addition, you are the leader of the palace. You should always think about the dignity of the royal family and pay attention to the manners and manners." Duke Wei said again. Yes, I understand," Yu Qingxian said. Duke Wei looked at Long Chen again. He was not a fool. How could he not know that it was Long Chen who deliberately overcame him? But he said nothing and turned away. When Duke Wei left and disappeared, a group of disciples behind Yu Qingxian suddenly showed a relieved expression on their faces, as if a drowning man could finally put his head out of the water and breathe freely. "You are so bad." Yu Qingxian looks at Long Chen's complacent face and can't help but take a look at Long Chen angrily. "This man is so annoying. To tell you the truth, if it wasn't for your face, I would have slapped him with a big mouth just now." Long Chen is helpless. Yu Qingxian also said helplessly, "In fact, I hate him too. With him, there are many rules and regulations which make people upset. But he was sent by his father. I dare not drive him away. You are good enough. Now we can relax for 2 days." Speaking of later, Yu Qingxian grinned, quiet and mischievous. Her smile was full of joy. Obviously, Long Chen hurt people with a knife. She didn't blame Long Chen, but was very happy. Seeing Yu Qingxian not to blame him, Long Chen was more happy. Long Chen said, "By the way, didn't your master accompany you?" "Master, he didn't come. Besides, this time I didn't come in the capacity of Yen Tianshan sect. I represented on behalf of our Rosefinch Empire." Yu Qingxian was embarrassed. It turns out that Yu Qingxian has 2 identities. One is a close disciple of Dongfang Zichu, the patriarch of Yen Tianshan sect, and the peerless Tianjiao of double cultivation of Dan and fire. This identity is known by almost everyone in the Deluoxing region. But few people know that Yu Qingxian also has a more prominent identity, that is, the princess of the Zhuke Empire, a noble inheritor of Jili. Yu Qingxian is a low-key person. In fact, she does not like to add so much halo to herself. She likes a plain and light lifestyle. She is afraid that Long Chen will feel pressure because of her identity. "Oh, that's good. After that, when I go to the Rosefinch Empire and mention your name, I will be able to run wild and commit crimes?" Long Chen said with a smile. Knowing that Long Chen was deliberately joking, but Long Chen didn't make any difference because of her identity, which made Yu Qingxian very happy. She covered her lips and said with a smile, "If you dare to discredit the royal family, my father knows that he will break your leg for the first time. I tell you, my father is really fierce." Fierce? I'm not afraid. I'm just the old father-in-law in the future. How can he be fierce again? Long Chen looks at Yu Qingchuan's face like a flower and smiles in his heart. "It's so busy here. Shall we go shopping?" When Yu Qingxian saw that there were more and more people here, countless people began to set up stalls. Looking around, all of them were people. Yu Qingxian could not help but exclaim excitedly. Long Chen would not refuse. He took Yu Qingxian straight to the market. Just after entering the market, Long Chen was suddenly attracted by something. www.novelhold.com, the fastest update of the web novel. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.